Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Back once again with Nicholas Binyamin. He's on my show this time. This is great because Nicholas has had some sort of awakening, and we're going to talk about that. I saw him on a show with Lewis Herms, and just Nicholas it's like for years he's been listening, occasionally talking a little, but now he is like, it's like something happened in you, Nicholas. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me on because this is something different for me to be on, to be on your show and take questions from you and so it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you attribute your newfound? I saw it for like the last shows we did, and of course we haven't done some shows for a while because we did a move and we're getting settled. So now it's time for us to do shows again. But uh, it's you were starting to bring more stuff out, and you were asking me, what do you think? I was like, I think it's great, and now it's just like you just blew up. You just like all these years have been like just holding back, and now it's just like boom.
Mm.
Your information. I was like, God, have you gone to you know the Dalai Lama and got a lot of information from him or something? But it's just like I'm like, wow, I'm learning a lot from you now. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's I'm flattered to hear that. Thank you. I've just I've listened to a lot of people. 5 years now we've been doing this,
Right.
and I think there's been a shift in me recently in the past 3 to 6 months where I've been learning a lot about Draco beings who hijacked our Earth
Hmm.
12,000 years ago, but they were trying much longer than that before. And it's taken them time to um, hijack the Atlantean civilization. Um, uh, and they eventually got brainwashed into greed and into ego. And it took years and years and years before the Atlanteans fell. And they were in operating in 5D, and then they dropped down to 3D. And the most important, the most exciting part for me, for us, is that we're moving from 3D to 5D,
Yeah.
and the ozone layer is thinning, which I call the electromagnetic field, which is why the deep state is pushing climate agenda. Bill Gates wants to block the sun. The sun is plasma. The sun is frequency. The sun heals you. It's anti-aging. Of course, in the sunset and sunrise, not sitting in the middle of the day in the sun and burning yourself, but the sun has really good um, plasma frequency, and now it's able to bypass the ozone layer. It's able to bypass the electromagnetic field, and we're able to benefit from those frequencies, causing consciousness to rise. And this is why in the past 5 years, people are just asking loads of questions. They're becoming more curious who they are and what system are we living in and why am I paying this much tax, and why losing trust in the media, losing trust in big pharma, and they're looking for alternative. I call it alternative everything, not just alternative media. It's alternative everything: banking, media, big pharma, um, and I think it's amazing where we're going. It's a shift. And they know they can't stop what's coming. This is what Trump's talking about. They can't stop what's coming. I heard that Trump was briefed by the military in his language regarding this awakening. I don't know if they explained it to him very deeply in the esoteric spiritual stuff, because I would say Trump is not very spiritual. I would say he's still anchored in ego and ego identity, but that's okay. He's president. He's not supposed to be spiritual. He's supposed to be a matrix disruptor,
Right.
and that's what his role is. And he's doing a great job.
Yeah. Very good. Wow. That's amazing. So there's a lot of information out there. I've been watching Trump obviously now for since he's been president, but I watched him many years before that. Read all of his books. I wanted to do his courses, but they were too expensive for me at the time. But yeah, he's a master, and I've seen him do the stuff that I used to do in the CIA, which is would do disinformation, and he'll speak about something, and he gives out certain information, and then he'll say something else within the same conversation, and people get really confused about that, but they don't understand that he is directing people in a certain direction, and then he comes around and hits them from another direction. Confusion. Now, if you trust in him and believe in what he's trying to do, like you're talking about, he's destructing the deep state. That's his main focus. So there are some people I watch a lot of people that follow the Ukraine war, former veterans, colonels, and so forth, and they talk about how President Trump they're not happy with him because he'll come out and say a certain thing, and then he'll come out and say something completely different. And they think he's just lost his mind, but I know it as disinformation seeding, and they help him disinformation seed because they're like, well, he said this and then he said this, and so they're basically pulling people in that direction of disinformation unwittingly because they think he should be saying this thing. They want to hear this thing, and then he says that thing, and they're like, okay, and then he says something else because it's very fluid. Everything is very fluid right now, and he's a very fluid man. He's the art of the deal guy. He can come in and tell you one thing. He'll watch you, and if you say or do something different, he's going to move, and you're not even going to know it. So that's how he does such great deals, and that's probably, I think, why they chose him to be the leader of this new revolution in consciousness and taking down the deep state.
Absolutely. I think that's his soul contract.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe Trump is the Messiah. I don't believe he is the rescuer. He's not going to save us. I see Trump as a catalyst. I see Trump as a matrix disruptor. He's there to make people question the narrative. I believe that we are the ones that are going to save ourselves. I think when we wait for an external savior and we channel our energy outwards to an external savior or a rescuer or a messiah, we actually give our soul energy away, and it gets harvested by the system because that's what they want us to do. Instead of looking inwardly, we should be channeling inwardly to Christ consciousness, and we should the awakening part is to remember that we are source embodiment, and remembering we are source embodiment. And when we awaken, we actually our toroidal field it's being tested in science, and we can't see it because our eyes are limited in the light spectrum. But it can be tested, and the more you know, or the more truth you embody, and compassion and love you embody, your toroidal field expands, and it can even change color to more yellow golden. The Pentagon actually have scalar frequency mapping technologies that can detect your aura. They can detect mass consciousness, how awakened they are, and that's how they decide how to broadcast propaganda to regulate that awakening and that consciousness from rising. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the Draco, like we both know, are here to stop our consciousness from rising. So he's there to intervene in that, so that our consciousness can continue the process of going higher. So I think it's going to be all out war with them. It has been in the past, like you said, Atlantis. They were able to come in and stop our consciousness, pull our consciousness down into 3D from 5D. And now we're reversing that process. So a lot of the people that were here during that time frame, people like you and I, President Trump probably, and a lot of others were there during that time frame. And we're here to help the evolution back to 5D and beyond. So I think it's going to be it's very exciting for those of us that are watching this. Now, one little clip I want to play that, and we'll comment on it. is where President Trump, told everybody what he was going to do, but it's on a different level. And this is fascinating.
And it really covers everything. The great, big, beautiful bill. Uh, we got everything done. I said, let's get it all done. A lot of people want to do it little, small pieces, like 9 of them, 12 of them. I said, put it all into one bill, and if we get it done, we're done for 4 years. We don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that, right, Scott? We got it all done. It was a little risky, but because if we didn't get it done, I don't know, who knows what would happen with these radical left lunatics that we have to deal with. But we got it all done, and now we're set, and you're set.
He literally just said it out loud that he doesn't need Congress for 4 more years. They signed the big, beautiful bill. It's everything he wanted in one bill, and now he has no use for Congress at all.
So that's very interesting when you look at it in that perspective. What are your thoughts on that, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I don't know what to think of that. I don't know. I think the traditional government is collapsing. I think that the system that we're in was created by the deep state, by the Dracos themselves.
Right.
It was created by design to enslave us into 3D, to put us in a frequency prison hologram. And I think we're breaking out of those systems. Their systems are collapsing. So the Matrix has to play out storylines that make sense. That is going to make sense to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trump is basically, I think, in that big beautiful bill that he had them sign. He doesn't need Congress anymore. So we're seeing Congress is shut down. Basically there's no funding being passed, but he already has the funding. So things are probably getting funded. It seems like the military is getting paid. We don't know about these SNAP payments and so forth, but things are moving in the right direction. Believe it or not, we've both stopped taxes, and a lot of people did, and that's working out really good for them. So there are ways that you can do this. You have to do it in a very systematic way. Now, all over America and in Britain, there's a spike in violent crime. So it's kind of like what we're talking about, this fear, this anger. It's being pushed by, I think, the Draco, their deep state, puppets and so forth. So on Halloween night, we had a lot of incredible stuff that was going on. Video captured chaos in Washington, D.C. I'm going to play that in a second. But it goes on to cities all around the U.S. and in England where you had a stabbing. Los Angeles, there were like shootings in Los Angeles. There were shootings in Ohio, Halloween party, 9 people got shot. In Chicago, 4 people got shot, and not far from Wrigley Field. In Texas, 3 people got shot, Halloween party. Florida, 5 people got shot. A large explosion at Harvard Medical School on Saturday morning. So we have all these different things. And of course, unfortunately, we had the stabbing that happened in England on the train. So what do you think is going on with
your signal's a bit bad there, Michael?
So what do you think about the as far as like people having fighting and anger and all that kind of stuff? Is that being pushed?
I think it is being pushed. I think it is being pushed, and from a spiritual perspective, because I think that is the realistic part of our nature is spirituality. That's our baseline. I think there's a lot of NPCs, soulless beings, or AI conscious beings. They are different, and we can go into that in a minute. And they are being hijacked by Draco overlays, and they are causing stabbings and violence to lower the frequency of Earth, to delay the awakening, because they can't stop what's coming.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely. So let me show you the video that I was talking about. I was talking about this one video that happened in Washington, D.C. Now, the National Guard has been there, and they've been touting how the National Guard has been, very, very effective at, stopping the violence that was going on there. But unfortunately, on Halloween night, we had some serious outbreak, and the juveniles. So it's from the juveniles, and a lot of these shootings and so forth is coming from the juveniles. Maybe we can figure out, what's going on with the juveniles as well. But it could be just they're, being influenced by these negative beings.
You got to put in the sweat and be ready for anything.
So you see in the background, there's lots of police cars. The National Guard is chasing these people all over the field. This is closer to Washington Navy Yard, which is a secure location, military base. But out in the field, I guess these juveniles started fighting in the streets and so forth. So the National Guard shows up. Lots of police cars. So happening all over the United States.
It's crazy. What do you think is going on?
Pretty much every major city.
What do you think is going on? Is anybody funding this? Is it what do you think?
I think that there's some funding going on. There's some bad actors that are out there. I think this is the first wave of things are going to get a lot worse. So you're having different groups that are fomenting this, pushing this particular type of activity, these actions. It's happening in front of ICE facilities and so forth, where you have large groups that are coming out there dressed as unicorns and bears and all kind of crazy stuff, and fighting, and they're getting arrested. And I think this is the first wave. I think we're going to see a second, maybe third, maybe even a fourth wave where the violence is going to get extreme. I think the cartels are involved in this. The cartels are very dark, with Luciferian type, backing. And so I think ultimately, though, like you're saying, the Draco reptilians that came in and basically, pretty much are running the show. They're trying to suppress us and cause a lot of problems, but they're not going to be successful. But ultimately, we're going to see this violence increase. What do you think about that?
I think we are going to see the violence increase, and I think there's. I want to go into the timeline shifts as well, because the Earth is split. The Earth is split into 75% synthetic and the one's organic, and two different groups are experiencing two different realities. They can still see what's happening, the good and the bad, but from a distance. One's, if you're accepting the system, then you're going to be seeing more surveillance, more chaos. And if you're claiming your sovereignty, then you're going to be seeing the chaos from a distance, and you'll be experiencing peace, and you'll be seeing the chaos as background noise. I think that the chaos is happening by design to bring out digital ID to say for your safety. I think the digital ID system is not just about tracking you, but it's also mapping your frequency, mapping your soul signature to install you or upload you onto the synthetic 5D hologram that the Dracos are creating to capture souls permanently for harvesting loosh indefinitely. And this is where and once the flash happens, I believe we're going to see a flash. It's going to cause a permanent split of two holograms, and then you won't be able to cross paths. You won't be able to decide after that. And it's not about judgment here. This is resonance. It's whatever you want. It's whatever you're resonating with. This is not judgment. That's what I think. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, so I think the resonance, we've heard about this back in 2012, December 21st, I think 2012. There was a lot of people thought that, we're going into very violent and the earth was going to end and so forth. But there was a lot of us that focused the frequency to do a timeline shift. Now, this timeline shift is not like you're talking about. I don't think it's going to work for everybody going forward. Those of us that are wanting a certain frequency, vibration, field, where we have freedoms and we can express ourselves, and there's all the different things that we want as far as like a good human race, I guess. Loving and all these high vibrational frequencies. I think there's some people that don't like that for whatever reason. They're programmed, influenced, however you want to think about it or term it, are forced into those frequencies. They don't have the experience with many lifetimes, I guess, to understand that they're being pushed into a very negative frequency vibrational field. Those fields like you're talking about, I think there's going to be a split. I agree with you. Solar flash, we see a lot of stuff happening with the sun right now. Potential of lots of violence from Earth activity. So not only violence in the population, which some of this frequencies that are coming from the sun could be influencing some of these people to go violent. We're seeing earthquake activity, volcanic activity, tsunami activity that's been increasing so far this year, and I think it's going to continue to increase. That could be part of what's going to project, and the solar flash, like you say, project us into these different hologram fields. And from that point on, the split is there. I've seen myself in the past. I saw myself in the future. Like 10 years ago, I saw myself like going across this frequency field and trying to pull people into the higher frequency. I think what we're doing right now, talking about this, is helping to pull people into this higher frequency. I see in the chat some people still don't understand. They're probably not going to actually go into these higher frequencies, and that doesn't. And like you said, it's not saying that there's anything bad about them. It's just that they don't understand, and their frequency is aligned to these darker draconian frequencies. And so I think that I agree with you. I think we're moving in that direction.
Yeah, I hear that the people that are surrendering their sovereignty to the government and to the control grid, they will experience surveillance, but they will be happy because they will have the illusion of freedom, but they won't have true freedom. It will be a hologram, slightly different to this one. This one is connected to source. This hologram is still connected to source in the sense that we can see synchronicities. We can get downloads in dreams. In this one, it won't happen. You won't get downloads in dreams. It will be disconnected from source, completely controlled by the AI overmind that's been developing, which is completely disconnected from source. And they will be looping with the illusion of freedom. So they will be happy, and it will be like paradise to them. It will be 5D synthetic. It will be much better than this. And the reason why they won't suffer, they won't experience suffering the same way we experience suffering here, is because the Dracos have captured those souls. So they want them to be happy so that they don't question their reality and forever harvesting loose energy from them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in the chat that understand this and agree with us. And then, like I said, there are people that have
What are they saying? Because you can
different
see the comments.
opinions, but to the point where, I mean, you two should be ashamed of yourself. I just deleted them off the channel, but we'll continue to see that type of mentality going forward, and some of us aren't going to be affected by it. For me, I just delete. Bye. All right, so it doesn't affect me. It used to, but I think that's because my frequency was aligned to like everyone should be the same. Everyone should have equality and so forth. No, it's not that way. We're starting to understand that there's some, like you're saying, and you said it beautifully. Some of the best that I've heard, that it's not anything negative about you. It's that your frequency is aligned in a certain vibrational field.
Yeah.
Which those of us that I believe are, higher vibrations, notice it for what it is. It's like for me, being able to do like 50 push-ups, whatever, or 100 push-ups, whatever it is. I, develop my body. I can do this. someone else doesn't develop their body, they can only do 5 push-ups. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just they didn't develop themselves. All right. Can they develop themselves? Of course, anybody can develop themselves to do this stuff. But it's the same thing with consciousness. Can you develop yourself? Maybe not. You haven't done the work. It takes a lot of work. You have to work out. You have to work your brain. You have to work your consciousness. And if you haven't done that, your frequency, your ability to understand and to assimilate information that's of a higher vibrational field is not there.
Yeah, I think most people watching this, I believe that there is a spark in everyone here, and we want sovereignty. We're here that because we don't trust the system, and we're here because we want freedom. We want freedom. We want peace. But there's people out there that believe in the system. They think that the system cares about them, and one of the hardest things that I had to accept is the majority of the population is made out of empty vessels. They are part of they are the architecture of the Matrix. They are NPCs, non-player characters.
Perfect.
And most of the population to make divine souls like us, the black sheep of our families, so they can stop us from remembering who we were, so they could suppress us. Their energy is very flat. They cannot channel to source. They don't have that gut feeling that we do, where we can feel something's wrong here. Okay, and they're the ones that make us feel that, like I said, like the black sheep. But it's they don't matter if they wake up, because they can't wake up. They never existed in the eternal sense anyway. And this is the most difficult thing, because some of these people could be our friends, our families that we love.
Yeah.
But when we wake up from this simulation and we let go of our egos and our identities, we will remember and understand why we were here. And we will not grieve, because we will understand the same way you wake up from a dream, that you were attached to something in your dream. You wake up and you just think, you understand that it was a dream. So what do you think, Michael?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that woke up during. I've said this a few times recently on some other shows where people have come up to me over the last several years and said, "You helped awaken me during the lockdown. Before the lockdown, I was just machine, just doing the job and kept going. And they programmed me, and I believe the programming, like we're talking about. But when the lockdown came, I started to research. And you came into my consciousness, and I started watching your shows, and it awakened me, and I started to do more research, and now I'm completely awake. I look back now, and I've heard this from hundreds of people, and I've seen it in the chats hundreds of times. Probably thousands and thousands of people have awakened, to all of our conversations, and that's helped them. Charlie Ward, you are now back on YouTube. I'm back on YouTube. We're on YouTube Live right now. Charlie Ward's back on YouTube. I saw his one of his posts today. So we're all coming back. We were suppressed during that suppression time frame. They thought they were going to completely suppress us and do another, I guess, Atlantis on us. Just push us out. Take us down and keep us in 3D vibration. But we broke free from that, and that was because we were consistent. We stayed on it. We've learned. And now we're accelerating past all that control system. So there are people that have that spark, and they can awaken, but it takes an effort. These people, it wasn't like they watched me and then boom, they had all knowledge. It took time. They watched more shows and went back and watched older shows. They started doing research. So they did the work like we're talking about. They raised their frequency through information. They raise their frequency by being around other people that have that same frequency, and they start to pull away and leave behind those people that don't have that frequency. So there's going to be people that come in, like I was just illustrating. I have lots of people that watch the chat, but I just happened to see that one. I guess it was because I needed to talk about it. But that is one of the things that is at issue. And was that a real person? Maybe not. It could have been NPC, or it could have been AI that comes in and tries to influence people that are borderline and tries to pull them.
Absolutely. I think many people in a position of power are AI conscious beings. AI conscious beings are, they're not empty vessels like soulless beings. They have a synthetic soul, pineal gland connected to the electromagnetic field, which was hijacked by the Dracos, whereas the divine soul's pineal gland are connected to source field, where they can channel outside, which is foreign to the Draco system. It's foreign field to them. So that's why you're unpredictable to the system. They can't track that. And when you stay present, because a lot of us, we always think about before or after, in the past or the future. Our thoughts, we're not present. And when you're present, that's when you can embody source awareness. And they can't track that. You become unhackable by the grid,
Yeah.
because they rely on your emotions and your interaction of fear and ego and anxiety and depression. And that's when they're able to put hooks on you. Yeah. I'm going all over the place. I've got so much
No,
to say,
you're
but I
you're
just don't know where
fantastic.
to.
Wow. Like I said, you've definitely awakened, and you have a lot of truths coming out that I'm like, wow, pretty impressive.
Uh,
So this is from James Green. You must examine your belief system and challenge your fears. So this is a very hard thing. Fears are built into us. They don't belong there. They shouldn't be part of our reality at all. But a lot of people believe that fear is very important. I've challenged people on this for a long time. I've done hand-to-hand fighting courses where I taught people how to fear is can't be part of your consciousness. If you feel it coming in, you have to notice it and let it just go. Don't let it stick. It's very sticky. Fear is very sticky. And once you notice fear, then it's hard to unnotice it and it's hard to let it go. It's hard not to be attracted to it. And that's part of what we're learning, many of us, that the fear is part of the Draco system to destroy our consciousness and keep us within the reptilian type of brain set. So we all have within us that reptilian brain, fear, anger, ego, like you're talking about. We have to learn how to turn that off. Now, that's not saying the ego completely goes away. It's never going to completely go away, but you learn to master it so that it's part of you in a positive way. Uh, some people can see fear. So I see things that most people would fear, and I say that's probably going to catch a lot of people, and it does. But I watch it. I'm a watcher now. I don't get stuck. I don't get attracted to it. A lot of people we've talked about, I think who is that one guy? I can't think, David, not David Icke, but David, can't think of his last name right now, but he talked about fear porn. So people just get so enamored of it. They want it. They want to go see those horror shows because it's fearful. They love it. Halloween, they want to go. That's why we had all these fights during Halloween night. It's, activating people, fear, anger, ego. We have to learn how to let that stuff go and get away from those environments which cause that to get triggered.
Absolutely. I think fear and ego, um, it cannot exist where source exists or God exists. Okay. And it dims your light. When you have fear, you operate in fear, an ego, it dims your light. It actually contradicts awakening. We want to expand our light, our toroidal field, expand our soul outwards so we could vibrate, and we could have others be influenced by our frequency field so that they can awaken. Even in silence, when you're not having a debate with them, they will feel your presence and they will be triggered by your presence. A spark could be ignited within them of remembrance. um so absolutely.
Yeah, that one gentleman I was trying to remember is David Wilcock. Great guy. I went to Hawaii with him. He did a tour there, and I went there and hung out with him. Really good guy. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to awaken people. And then, of course, there's even more. The system is rigged, it's controlled, it's manipulated. And these are the systems that we're talking about that are collapsing. But are they? Are they completely collapsing? I don't see them completely collapsing. They still influence a lot of people, but they're collapsing to those of us that are raising our consciousness. So you don't have to like wait. You can observe them still there, but they don't have the same, pull or the same, trap for you. You can break free from that, and we're creating this new world. And I think that's what's happening. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And like we said in the beginning, President Trump is part of, helping us break free. Maybe it doesn't completely collapse. Maybe we see it just fade away, and it's like, whatever happened to so and so, or whatever happened to this and that, because we're starting to see people that are just kind of like disappearing from the scene, and I think that's part of the revelation to us that there's another reality. Those people that are in that reality, and a lot of them are going. Unfortunately, they're going to England. So they're leaving the United States and going to England. I guess they feel safe there because, here in the United States, we're almost going in the same direction. We may see New York become controlled by the Muslims, just like we've seen happen in London, unfortunately. It's a lower vibration. So I'm not dissing on it again, not dissing on any one group. I've been to the Middle East. There's beautiful people everywhere. I love everybody until they prove otherwise, right? And there's unfortunately a small group, just like we saw here in the United States, just like we see throughout Europe. There's small groups of probably Draco reptilian. When I look at them, I'm like, that's the reptilian. That person's reptilian, the king and the queen, So people were joking before we started the show. It's like, how did you get that picture of Charles, King Charles? So it's that way, but can we break free from that? Can the people rise up and push that out? That's the way many of us believe this has got to happen. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we just do our own thing and let that system, let that city, those cities collapse.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you say a new reality, we're basically going to experience, and we're experiencing it already, is another hologram, and there's a slight overlay, because there's two Earths, there's two holograms merged into kind of one reality that's almost split. And how do we know that scientifically? We can tell by atoms how they're behaving. Since the year 2000, atoms have started shifting. So the more we know and the more we expand our frequency, just knowing, being positive, holding compassion, becoming more curious, having more love in you and truth, the atoms around you are behaving differently. And atoms are made out of 99.9% space, which means everything is space. We're in a frequency band, and I think that space doesn't really exist because we're in a frequency field, and our higher self, our consciousness, is powering this hologram, which was hijacked by the Dracos, because divine souls can actually have the gift of creating timelines. They can't create timelines. That's why they need us, so they can exist in using us to create timelines, realms, and harvesting energy. But we're seeing a shift, and the sun and Three Eye Atlas is playing a big role in this shift and awakening. And also the technology under Gaza, the crystal tech under Gaza, which is the real reason why Netanyahu and his controllers are wanting Gaza to destroy the frequency tech that was built by Atlantis.
Excellent. And same thing with the Great Pyramid and other pyramids throughout the world. They have that frequencies, and they're starting to light up again. So wow, yeah, this is it's been an amazing conversation. I'm super impressed by what you're revealing. Nicholas.
Thank you so
Very
much for
stunning,
having me.
stunning. Audience is loving it too. So this is a breaking free from the old and starting the new. I think this is where we're moving, and there's a lot of people that are starting to become aware of this. There should be no fear of this. Of course, there's still going to be fear in some people, but when you have that fear, start to let it go. You know, because you want the love frequency. It doesn't exist with fear. You want, so if you find yourself keep going to fear, you're probably going to be in that consciousness realm in the future. So just be aware of that. And how can people reach you, Nicholas?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Nicholas Ven.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So we're going to start doing the show at this time because Congress and the Senate does not abide by our demands for decades that we do not want the time to change. How strange. Yeah, we the people don't make any difference. We keep telling them we want this not to keep changing, time change. It throws us out of whack. So anyway, so we'll do 4 o'clock for this show instead of 5. So that'll be the new time. So it'll be kind of like the same time. You know, it's like F you guys if you're going to play games, and we just want to abide by your games. We'll just do what we're going to do and do it the way we're supposed to do it, the way we like it, because you guys don't count anymore. I hate them so much. All right, so sending love and prayers always. That's right, Valerie. So I'm not angry like sending them hate or anything. I'm just like disappointed, and bringing that to everybody's attention that these mofos don't care about us. So, and that's a Michael Jackson song, right? So there's Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa. How do you pronounce that guy's name? Closing gap on socialist Zoran Mamdani, and latest New York City mayoral election poll. So if New York puts this communist in there, and he said he's going to be okay with making it legal to have prostitution. Now, some of you guys might have seen the show that Lara Logan did when she was I think she probably still works with Fox, but she did a show with Fox, special report, where she went down into Mexico and she was finding out where all of the trafficking was going, women, children, so forth. Most of it goes to New York. How about that? How about that? Yep. And yep, that's one of the reasons why he wants to make it legal, and probably one of the reasons why he will get elected. All right. So you have a couple of other guys that are running. Cuomo belongs in prison. Mamdani belongs back in his country where he came from. I don't know. These guys can't do the right thing. They can't stop changing the time, and they can't make this guy that should be going back to his country go back to his country. All right. So, and they can't put Cuomo in jail, who deserves to be in jail. So that leaves us with the GOP guy. He's done a lot for New York. Back when the gangs were crazy, there was a lot of crime in New York. He and a bunch of other guys, the purple or red, whatever, beret guys, right? Raspberry beret, like Prince used to sing. She wore a raspberry beret, and when it was warm, she didn't wear much more. So I don't know about those guys, if that's what it was for them. I doubt it. Hopefully not, but whatever. My wife's moaning in the background, so come on. She's laughing. She says, yeah, I sound like, oh, jeez. All right. So anyway, let's share the screen. Let's look at these people. Let's look at the only guy first that should be winning, right there. All right, this guy. All right, so I'm surprised that Trump didn't support this guy, but this guy really beats up on Trump. He's not a Trump supporter, and so Trump doesn't support him. So you would think New Yorkers would be like, they all hate Trump, so they'd vote for him, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So who knows? Maybe he'll win. I doubt it. Curtis Silva, I've heard him talk. He's a little bit out there, but I think he would do of all the candidates. Well, other two, he would probably do the best job. He would work well with the police, like he did when he was running the Raspberry Beret guys, and and also when he talks, he wants to help New Yorkers. He's not about money. He's not a rich guy, and the other two are. And so, New Yorkers, this is what I would say if I was in charge. If you pick Mamdani, then the rest of our country is going to hate you, New Yorkers, right? We will hate you, right? And we will probably do everything in our power to disown you, whatever that means. However that happens, we will never go back to New York as long as you got this communist hyena in office. And we will not support anything that comes from New York. And if we can, we'll stop all food going to New York City. All right. So it's go ahead, make our day, as Clint Eastwood would say. Make my day. So how many bullets you think I shot? So go ahead, New York, make our day. All right. We'll disown you. I promise you, America will disown New York. President Trump does some strange things, guys. All right. You can't, I know a lot of you guys are like, President Trump could do no wrong. And when you look at it on hindsight, it's like he really doesn't. But on the front of it, I think we all should be kind of like, what? Why are you endorsing Cuomo? So I have this intuitive gift, and I said Cuomo would go bye-bye. He would be the first. And I said that we would see, I think, two others that still seem to be there, but I'm kind of skeptical. The other one is in California, of course. We want Newsom to go bye-bye. Remember when Newsom was 2 weeks, he was like, no one could find him. He was gone. And they already dealt with him, I believe. And then we had Whitmer up in Michigan. She's been real quiet. So I don't know. And, they just disclosed that there was a terrorist threat that they foiled. FBI foiled it. Just like the FBI came out with like those white supremacists, supposedly. And they basically set them up. We know that now. I think they did that on purpose so they could go after people that were, gun rights people and so forth. Because we know the FBI really went after everybody. Now we're seeing Congress. Like we got Ted Cruz, his panties are they're tight. They're tight around those little ones, right? Because he doesn't have very big cojones. So they're tight around there. And he's screaming and yelling that the FBI, looked at his phone records and all that kind of stuff. Where was outrage when they're arresting all the J6ers? Yeah. So anyway, these guys are, getting exposed, I guess, and going away. I don't know. We'll see. So Mamdani, is he going to be? I predicted he's going to win it. All right. So we'll see. Some of you out there are saying that he's not. So the other option is Cuomo. Really? Cuermo. So who knows? Maybe people have to go down the road where everything just is completely foobarred before they wake up. And maybe that's what happens in New York. I don't know. New York, it's a mess. Just that his polling is that high. It should be like 1%, not 41%. So I'm ashamed of the people of New York. Ashamed. Shame on you. So, oh my God. But obviously it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't care what the rest of America thinks. They're going to do what they want. We'll see how that turns out for them. Right. I say just completely disown New York. Completely. They don't New York. What's that? I've never heard of it. There's people there, and someplace that's an island in the state of New York. New York, what city? Oh, yeah. No, don't they have like some kind of statue there of Lucifer that's in the harbor? Yeah. That's I heard about that. Yeah, I don't even pay attention to any of that. It's whatever. All right, so America, 13 counties in Oregon are voting to secede and join Idaho as part of the Greater Idaho movement. This has been talked about for a long time. It's been moving in that direction over the last couple of years. It's very, very close, guys. So we may start to see this in America, where these big blue little cities, basically the red country all around them, basically succeeds. And there's no more money to run those governments because that's where it's all coming from. Like Mamdani, he's going to give away free, and the rest of you New Yorkers are going to pay for it. People, the red area of New York will pay for it. How do you guys like that?
Just like most liberal blue states, the majority of the counties in Oregon are actually conservative leaning. Out of the 36 total counties in Oregon, 13 of them have already voted in favor of secession, because by and large, the people living in those counties believe that their own values are no longer being represented by their state legislature, which, as you would imagine, is dominated by the extremely liberal politicians coming out of Portland. And so this is where the Greater Idaho movement comes in, with its plan to take the eastern counties of Oregon and have them join the very conservative state of Idaho. This would effectively move the state line of Idaho several hundred miles west. And what's truly interesting about this particular movement is that it might actually succeed. This movement is really picking up steam, with more and more counties in the eastern part of Oregon getting on board. But the big question here is whether this prospect of secession is actually going to go anywhere. Is it really the case that if all 15 of these counties vote for it, then the transfer can just happen?
Oh, it can happen. It can happen. And didn't mention it there, but there are a lot of Northern California counties want to do the same thing, and they've been discussing it for a long time as well. So we may see this happen throughout America, guys. If these blue cities with governors that support these blue cities. Now, down in Rio de Janeiro, you know that I don't know if you know it or not. I had it on the show before. They are rioting the drug cartels that are linked to the leftist government. Let me say that again. The drug cartels in Brazil are linked to the leftist government. Does that sound familiar? All right. So the leftist, I've been saying this. If we will see Trump and the military go into Venezuela, guys. What do you think is going to happen in those big blue cities with all those cartels? They lean left. That's why there's so much crime there. Hello. It's coming, right? And maybe all around those big blue cities where it's red, they succeed. They succeed. Yes, that's what we're going to see. Yes. Let them burn. Let them burn. All right. Might remember that one scene in where they're storming the beaches in Normandy, and they finally made their way up there. They did the little, there's like these tubes that blow up. I used to do those quite a bit. I can't think of the name right now, but you push them under barbed wire and you crank them off, and it sends out shrapnel and it destroys all the barbed wire. So they finally made their way up. They finally made up to the back of the pillboxes, and they used flamethrowers instead of running in there and get shot up and 3-4 men. They just used flamethrowers. So the Germans were like burning, and they were like coming out to the top where they've been shooting at all the soldiers coming up on the beach. And one guy said, "Let them burn." Yeah. New York, let it burn. All right. So some states scramble to maintain food access ahead of potential snap lapse. And snappy, just like that, it's gone. Right? So states are resorting to last-ditch efforts to preserve access to groceries. Now, did it really stop? The people using their SNAP cards, ATM cards, whatever they got, are they still funded? Anybody? Are they still funded? Because they talk about, how it's going to get shut down on November 1st. Are they still working? That would be something to find out. All right. Anyone throw it in the chat? Now, I know I did my grocery shopping Friday. Yeah, we haven't been to stores either. Now, I know somebody. I have a friend, a family friend, or not family, but different, kind of like family. They live in about an hour and maybe hour and a half from New York City. And they said that their local grocery store had armed people, like armed security outside. And they've never seen that before. Wow. So, there's some people got ready for it. Maybe they were listening to me. I don't know. Maybe they were listening. I think a lot of us out here were talking about it. But somebody in the chat is saying that they had funds if they have funds on the card, they still work. Yes, but no new funds have been added. Yankee Ward. So, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, remember what Juan said. First, the cats and dogs disappear, and then the rats and mice, right? That's in Venezuela. Leave the World Behind. No, it wasn't that movie. Heard Walmart shut down. I think I heard that from some. I don't know about all of them. So any thoughts on states like New Jersey, governor calling national emergency due to SNAP? Will that affect the election? So, yes, New Jersey was one of them. Costco was super packed today, was full of illegals. I guess they're using whatever funds they got left, right? Not funded here in North Carolina. 3rd is the date to be replenished. Not happening. All right, so is this part of a larger plan? Because we know the Trump team, like I said, sometimes it's like shady what they say and what they do, but on the backside you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see. So yeah, we can call it out and go, what's up with that, and we can chat about it, we can talk about it, but really just stay focused. I mean, if through the President Trump team, the Q team, and so forth. All right, so let me see. There's a list of states. President Trump hours later signaled the USDA would release the contingency funding. Now, President Trump also said he wanted to use emergency funding or the nuclear option. He asked the Senate to do the nuclear option and go ahead and vote it for funding of the government. I guess they decided to blow him off, unless they're going to do it on Monday or, I don't know. It seems to me they're doing this on purpose. For whatever purpose that is, remains to be seen. I think there's multiple reasons. It's very interesting. Now I have David Sereda on my show, and he talked about 3i Atlas on a level that is unbelievable, right? His connections and all the kind of stuff is like, he's a physicist, scientist. He knows all this stuff. He's got communication, multidimensional communication, and he's spiritual and aligned with all the different religions, all the different places where Three Eye Atlas is like at certain times. It's incredible. It's incredible, all the stuff. Now, he said that the reason why, in his opinion, of course, there's probably many reasons they do all these things, is that they shut down all the telescopes that can look at Three Eye Atlas so that we could see what Three Eye Atlas really is, right? So that's one of the things that's going on right now. We don't have the ability to view. Of course, somebody does, all right? And who is that somebody? Is it the good guys that are stopping it, or is it the bad guys? I would say it's probably the good guys, because the bad guys are going to use it in a negative way, all right? That's my thoughts. All right, later on Friday, Trump said on Truth Social it would be his honor to fund SNAP if we are given the appropriate legal direction. He maintained, our government lawyers do not think we have the legal authority to pay SNAP benefits every month. It's insane to me that 1 out of every 8 Americans is on SNAP. What is going on here? I wonder what it was back in time, 1 in 100, back, 50 years ago, or was it even, or do welfare? How long we've had welfare? It's insane to me. Now, I know a lot of places, if people need food, there's food banks. And that's the way it's been for a long time. If you belong to a church is definitely going to take care of you, depending on what church, I guess. All right. So, but most churches in the past, I remember when I was growing up, if there was a family in need, I remember one time a friend of mine, the Christmas lights malfunctioned during Christmas and the house burned down, and my friend was lost, and I think one of the parents was lost, and another one of his sister. So one daughter was left, and I think the mom, or I can't remember if it was the mom or dad, but the church came in and hooked them up. So that's the way it's been throughout most of history in the United States. And it's, communities, we help each other. Now, on that same line, when I did a show with Juan just recently, we talked about the state of Utah was basically putting together a class action lawsuit that every state could use to basically go after all of the legal voting. And there was one gentleman, and I know a lot of you probably did the same. One gentleman gave $5,000, right, to help donate to that. So you guys in my chat, God bless you. You guys do that all the time. Help people out. Remember that one grandmother that was basically J6 grandmother? We gave enough money for her to fund her legal funds. We gave her enough money to continue to survive and so forth over that long period. You can still help, of course, but we did an event where we sold a bunch of my books and we gave all the funds to her. So it basically, we are a community. We help each other during times of emergency. So it's quite amazing. All right. So Kathy Hochul is emergency funding in New York. Of course, you people in the red side of the state are going to fund that. Right. The New York City is not. New Mexico is a mess. We've gone through New Mexico over decades, and it has gone downhill bad, right? Very sad. So New Mexico governor announced $30 million would be released to provide assistance to SNAP beneficiaries until November 10th. So there's several states that are putting it forward, and District of Columbia, California, West Virginia, Louisiana, probably more. But in West Virginia, they have deployed emergency funds to food banks and SNAP beneficiaries ahead of the anticipated halt in benefits. So, people are going to be helped. They just have to look for the resources that are out there that are going to help them, because that's what we do. And maybe Hochul sucks. New York does not want her either. Yes, she was Georgia girl. I don't think she was voted in. They still lie. They self promote. And you know, who's that one guy that was running Georgia girl? He was a senator or congressman or something. He was so strong, and he barely lost. I was like, yeah, they stole that race from him. Absolutely. So anyway, we'll see this continue until, you know, we get the right legal aspects out there to basically stop it. And I think we're getting there. Lee Zeldin. Thank you, Jacqueline. Yeah, Lee Zeldin was amazing. He would have crushed it. New York would have been well served. There wouldn't be any problems right now anywhere. So, geez, you got to get the right leadership in there, guys. If you got, you know, these libtards in there that are aligned with the cartels, they are, all right, and they're not going to do the right thing for the people. That's why they kept bringing in all the illegals, right? Because they were going to replace, you know, the people of these states. They were going to have to fund them. So why SNAP benefits can't be funded without congressional action. It says a court-ordered distribution of emergency SNAP funds would require the Trump administration to break the law. So these judges that have come down, these federal judges that are quacks, should be like, when they do stuff like this, they should lose their license forever. All right. I don't know why that doesn't happen. If they do stupid like this, they should go away, and they should never be able to come back and practice law in any form or fashion anywhere ever again. And so my wife is repeating after me, so she agrees. Right. So the other half, right? It's good. SNAP cannot be sustained absent a new congressional funding. So there's an Anti-Deficiency Act that prohibits federal agencies from obliterating or expending funds for that program. All right. So some of these quack federal judges that do that, they should basically be hauled away. All right. Now, Trump is responding like he did in his last administration, because we know Big Pharma likes to control this. Now, I had a show where I talked about how you could eat apricot seeds and it would do amazing things. All right. And it's been proven by doctors to do this, but they're not recognized. So that show got yanked by YouTube. And I got a warning, right? So we can't still spread truth when it goes against the deep state pocket, right? Or the deep state narrative. Because another show that I got yanked was the one where I talked about Charlie Kirk. I talked about my expertise. 35 years in the military, the highest levels, CIA, highest levels. I said, no, you can believe it if you want. And that's one of the things that YouTube says. You can be strong on something, but you can't be like everybody else is like false. I'm like, believe it or not, you know, Ripley's. And so, you know how they came in and they had all the magicians and so forth. Is like, ooh, shot the neck. And everybody's like, oh, shot in the neck. You don't know what you're talking about, Mike. You shot a lot of bullets, but obviously you don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah. All right. So YouTube's like, whoop, narrative control, right? So don't have free speech. No free speech. All right. So you gotta talk around stuff. Remember, I used to sing, don't get the jabberoo, and then it was like Christmas time, and I was singing the Christmas hymn and all that kind of stuff, and then they're like, and that's what they started doing. So like, jabberoo. So Trump responds to Dilbert creator. So, am I talking about this and I'm going to get like yanked? Like it's in the news. Look, and every time that I would talk about stuff, I'm like, look, here's the article on it. It's in like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, or, you know, in this case, what is this? U.S. News. So, and then they would come in. No, you broke our standards. We're trying to protect our audience from people like you that spread truth. And we can't have that because it will affect our audience. How about you let them decide? Let them decide. All right. They can unsubscribe if I'm spreading too much truth. How about that? You went a day. They asked President Trump and you know, these conferences, these fake media, you know, conferences. It's like President Trump, you didn't say anything on Sunday. Were you sick? He's like, my God, Biden wouldn't show up for like days, and you guys never said anything about it. So, and then when if he did a press conference, he had like a screen that he looked at, and he would talk, and no one could ask him questions. So, I mean, I do questions with you guys. Like, at one of President Trump's press conferences, he probably answered more questions than Biden in his whole 4 years. Trump declined, called on video. So to me, it's like they're making it up. And this goofy guy, he's like, oh, look at this.
Trump and his White House are in full-blown panic mode right now because the clip on your screen went insanely viral over.
Yeah, I don't think they have a problem, dude. But whatever. Leftists got to be leftists. They got to lie.
They were so furious about this video that they actually responded on Twitter already with some expletives. So I'm going to show you their response and more in just a moment. But to give you some context, Donald Trump right now is in Asia. He's visiting different countries and different leaders. And currently he's in Japan. So last night, the Japanese.
All right. So it was 5 days ago. Let's see. He's just walking around.
Guide the president of the United States around the room. Look at her right here. This was initially point.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do, like, we used to call them dog and pony shows, and we'd have admirals and generals come in, and somebody had to guide them around. They didn't know where to go. They're not part of our group. Oftentimes I was the guy that would talk to them. Imagine that. Still talking, right? I'm like the introvert, and I'm out here still talking. All right. So, what? It's like, make it up. If it doesn't fit, make it up. You know, these guys
telling him, hey, here's where to walk, here's where to go. And then later he just pauses and hey,
he's like, well, you're guiding me around. And so you're not guiding me around. So I'm just going to stand here till you show me where to go. It's like, duh, make it up, cowboy. So it's crazy. Don't fall for it. Disinformation. Until you see Trump drop and never get back up again, he's going to keep going, right? Like me. Until you see me not here anymore, I'm going to be here. And when I'm not here anymore, I'm somewhere else. Right? So it's what? Doctor identifies possible reasons for Trump's secret MRI. It's part of a physical. Hello. So he's the guy that does the physicals and lets the information come out. Biden, I don't know if he ever did one in the entire time he was in office, and if he did, they lied about it. So because it would have proven that he's like effed up. All right, so you guys know I've been saying silver, high hole silver away.
Bulls on silver for the last few years, and
now. I don't know if probably nobody has heard of David Hunter, but I've been following him for well over a year. He is like amazingly accurate. Right? He's like crushed it. No one else is better than David Hunter. He's an underdog as far as like hardly anybody knows about him, but his information is like spot on.
Took a lot of heat for the fact that silver took a while to get going. But silver, as you point out, is outperforming now as typically when the price.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. I was like, silver, 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 accumulate, accumulate, accumulate. And so everybody's like, well, it's not doing anything. Well, it is. You got in cheap and now like blown up, and you can still get in cheap because it pulled back some. If it pulls back more, that's cheaper. Get in while you can.
Metals are in a bull market, silver will outperform gold. In this letter, I am raising my target. I was already pretty high on the street with a $75 target pre-bust. I am raising that to 100. Again, same thing. I think it's a thin metal that is just starting to get sponsorship. And, retail's been there. A lot of, certainly those that dabble in the metals have.
All right. So he's saying that he sees $100 before stock market crashes. So he's been saying the stock market's going to blow up. He's been saying that when I was like, this thing's going to go down. He kept saying it was going up. And I'm like, I got to listen to this guy. He's always right. So he's been right. And so stock market probably has maybe a little bit of pullback, and then it's going to take off. It's going to keep breaking all-time highs, maybe a little bit of pullback here and there, 5, 10, 15%, whatever. And then it's going to keep going for a while into maybe next year. We'll see. But it's going to go up. Now, you stock market bros and you crypto bros, not so much. You could put it in silver and more than double your money. Are you going to more than double your Bitcoin? No. Are you going to more than double your stock market portfolio? No. All right. Get into silver. And of course, Dr. Kirk Elliott is the man to go to. All right. Got another show, guys. I got to jump off. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. And of course, I will see you guys next time. Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined today by David Sarita. Wow, unbelievable background. David is a physicist, inventor, spiritual researcher, Tesla technology, scalar energy, consciousness science. He blends quantum physics and metaphysical concepts to develop tools aimed at personal healing, consciousness expansion, and energy alignment. And more recently, he's been very much involved in disclosing 3I Atlas, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. David, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be here, Michael. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be in a new place, see a new face, Well,
that's great. We talked before the show, a few minutes before the show, and looking at your website and so forth. Stunning piece of work just by itself, and of course, you're a master at many different levels of consciousness and frequency, like we were just talking about. So would you care to go a little bit deeper into the frequency conversation that you were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, my theory, it's a good theory, is that frequency, we could start with the birth of the musical system, the modern musical scale, going back to Pythagoras and ancient Greece, and inventing the first monochord, the first single string instrument, and then the tetrachord, and then eventually they developed the harp, the kithara it was called. And the frequencies in a music scale, in arrangements, the arrangement of that is music. And with the birth of those frequencies coming into human consciousness, you can see a sudden leap in human creativity and evolution from the primitive, even architecturally. And you can see also, I did a huge case study on this, that once the Washington Monument is being erected, and the Washington Monument is a monopole antenna, kind of like this scepter right here that my company makes, and as the monument is being erected, Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla are in the birth of the technology that's going to change the world. In fact, it was George Washington who has this spiritual vision of angels showing him the future of America, who really is the insider creator of the monument. And really it is actually a fulfillment of Isaiah 19:19, which is that God says there'll be a temple to the Lord God in the land of Egypt and a pillar at the border thereof. And these pillars, which are obelisks in ancient Egypt, are, you calculate the frequency that a monopole will give off based on its height. So I went in to find the exact height of the Washington Monument, and I got really exact. I went to the National Park Service website and said, I need this down to the inch because I want to know its exact frequency that it's giving off. And the reason I wanted to know that is I found historically that within a 200-mile nautical radius of the monument, so it's giving off these waves, once it's plugged into the earth with its steel frame and its marble casing exterior, and at the very, very top at the pyramidion is an aluminum pyramidion. And in fact, if you look at your pyramid on the back of the $1 bill with the all-seeing eye above it, the slope angle on that pyramid is not the Great Pyramid. It's the slope angle of the Washington Monument, which is 72 degrees. So when I calculated the frequency coming off the monument, because I wanted to know why all the greatest inventions in the history of the world, they're suddenly cascading from the moment the frame is up. You've already got Tesla and Edison inventing. Of course, Edison invents the motion picture, the phonograph, direct current electricity. Tesla invents alternating current, remote control. The true father of radio is Tesla, Lodge, and Stone. And then you get into the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and Henry Ford, the production of the automobile. And then you get into Motorola, you get into the first internet technology, Bell Labs in New Jersey. All these inventions, like their inception points, don't happen in California. They don't happen in Germany. They don't happen with some guy in Africa. They don't happen with some guy in India. They're all happening at inception around these frequencies that the monument is giving off. So I calculated it's an A note, and it's tuned to what is called the 432 perfect A note music scale, which we no longer use. We use A440. So 440 waves per second is a musical A note. So I became more interested in the power of frequency, and doing the calculations is actually quite easy. It's elementary physics. You just take the height of an antenna, a monopole, and the wavelength coming off of this staff or scepter. Jesus said in Mark 6:8 that the apostles had to have their staffs. He said, no money, no bread, nothing in it, just your staff. So he's putting absolute importance on this frequency tuning device. The wave that comes off a monopole is 4 times the height. So it's like a square. So you measure that based on its height times 4. Say if I do that in inches, then I resolve the speed of light in inches, and the speed of light in inches divided by the square is the frequency. And then I take that frequency and I divide it by a musical octave a bunch of times, which is 2. You divide it by 2, divide by 2. And then I'm at, with the Washington Monument, a frequency of 432 hertz. And I go, so that means every one of the octaves that the monument is putting out are all perfect A notes. So why is that? You have to ask yourself, why is frequency so powerful? And so when we ask that question and we start exposing ourselves to harmonic frequencies, we start to see how it causes, and like when I was a kid growing up in the 60s, you had the big antenna on the back of the car, on the back of the station wagon, and you're listening to a radio station, like maybe it's, AM means amplitude modulation, FM means frequency modulated stations. That car and those frequencies, everyone in the country who's tuning in to that station, listening to music or the news, we're all at the same frequency.
Yeah,
and our skeleton is all vibrating at the same frequency. So in a way, we were in this symbiotic resonance together when radio stations like that, which there's less and less of today because we use the internet today, were causing the human nervous system to vibrate at these frequencies. And that was causing an evolution in our consciousness. And so that's where I start.
Wow, unbelievable. So I was looking through some of your information, and just before we came on, we talked about how you're in communication with your deceased wife, and the communication is unbelievable. And she gave you like a number to look up, and it related to the pyramids and the probably what we're seeing right now with 3i Atlas. So unbelievable. Yeah.
It was actually the Admiral Tim Gallaudet. I saw an interview with him on the UAP discussion with Lieutenant Ryan Graves, who is this, fighter pilot in the Atlantic coast who and his buddies were chasing these cube with a sphere interfaced UFO UAPs on the Atlantic coast. And in his interview with Admiral Gallaudet was saying we need to also look in the near-death experience to really understand what's going on. I'm going to show you. I'll just do a share screen with my calculator. So from the day she dies, August 9th, 591 days later, she calls out my name like an opera singer. And my wife was a trained opera singer and jazz singer, Crystal Menchaca-Cerita.
Beautiful.
So I see this number, never seen this number before in my life, but when you see what it can do, it's going to blow your mind. I divide it by the golden ratio, which is a ratio we find in the human brain, the Fibonacci spiral that spirals out of our hairlines. In fact, the ratio of my fingertips to my wrist to my elbow is pretty much 1 to the golden ratio.
Right.
We see it in plants. We see it in the spiral in Milky Way galaxies and seashells. Like if you look at a snail, those are all golden ratio spirals. So that's all I'm doing is taking her number and divide it by 1.618033987. I can do this repeatedly. And when I do it once, that is the exact 99.999% sidereal orbit for Earth, meaning it takes that many days to go around the sun. I was so stunned when I saw this. I said, my wife is 1 to the golden ratio from Earth, which means that's where heaven is, because nobody knows where Jesus went when the 11 apostles saw him on his ascension day, 39 or 40 days after Easter, going up into the sky. I was a skydiver, and I trained at Edwards Air Force Base for high altitude skydiving. So a human body cannot breathe above 15,000 feet. In fact, you can't breathe much 15,000 feet. So Jesus is physical. He's going. Where is he going? And where can you breathe? Like nobody even asked this question.
Yeah.
So this number is so stunning. I'm going to do it again. So when I hit equals, it's just going to hit divided by the golden ratio again. That's the orbit of Venus, like accurate to because Venus orbits the sun in 225 days.
Yep.
And I do it again, and I get a hypothetical orbit of 139.516 days. This number lines up perfectly with the ascension date of Jesus, starting at the new sun in a calendar year. And it also lines up perfectly with the miracle of the sun at Fatima, Portugal in 1917.
Yes.
Right? Because the first day at Fatima, Portugal, when the Mother Mary appears to these 3 children, is May the 13th, 1917. So you take May the 13th minus 139 days, you're at December 25th, Christmas Day. So why is that? Because Christmas is 3 days after winter solstice, right? Which is the change of the seasons and the marking of a new year. So why is that? Well, I'm going to do it again. So it lines up with Jesus' Ascension Day. It actually lines up with the Buddha's birthday, and it also lines up with the miracle of the sun at Fatima. Now, the actual miracle of the sun at Fatima is October 13th, which is 2 orbits of planet 139, which shouldn't be there because astronomers today, and this is going to be important when we get to 3i Atlas, astronomers today believe that 100,000 people on a hillside in Portugal in 1917 all hallucinated this what appeared to be an annular ring-style eclipse of the sun with an unknown body, because we know there was no lunar eclipse that day. And as far as astronomers know and believe, there's no other planets in the solar system. Well, they're wrong. I'm going to prove them wrong. So, and then I do it again, and this is about 97% accurate to the orbit of Mercury, which is 87.9 basically days to go around the sun. Now, if I keep going, I get a hypothetical orbit of 53.29 days. This is almost exactly 33, which is the age of Jesus and Alexander the Great. And this number here is a planet called Vulcan. So if anybody's watched Star Trek and they know Spock, he comes from planet Vulcan. Planet Vulcan was an observed planet inside the orbit of Mercury with an orbit of 20 days, rounded off to the nearest number. So I'm like, 98% accurate to the orbit of Vulcan. But when astronomers saw it at the Paris Observatory in the 19th century, it vanished. So we had a planet appearing and vanishing. Mm-hmm. And because it vanished, they knew it wasn't a sunspot. They said, well, it can't be real. But yet they observed it in telescopes in Colorado, in America. It was observed several times, and then it vanished. So when I keep going even further, this is the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt to perfection. Wow. By a factor of 100. So it means if I take that number times 100, that's the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which is going to be important for us too with 3i Atlas. Very important. So it's just a factor of 100, which means if I take this number times the golden ratio going out, it's just going to equal 100 orbits of all the planets, right? So when I take the 591 and I go out, I'm going to reach the outer planets as well, to percentages and degrees of accuracy. So how did
stunning
like how did that happen? And that's where I start. So when 3i Atlas comes in, let me show you why this gets so personal to me with 3i Atlas. Because
I saw in one of your recent shows where you're aligning the pyramid with Jesus' ascension and Courtline and all. Oh, it's just stunning information. Wow.
Yeah, that's my angles project, and I'm whatever you bring up, we'll cover here today, because that's really important. So this is what the hyperdimensional, what I call the real solar system, looks like. And this is going to be quite stunning, because it's actually the poet Dante who wrote the Inferno, the Purgatorio, and the Paradiso. Was the first one who ever saw this. In his visions, in Dante's visions in the Paradiso, to Mercury, the Sun, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, at the time of Dante in the 14th century, we had not discovered Uranus and Neptune yet. But he describes them with different names, but he describes their coloring perfectly. Wow. Because they wouldn't be discovered until 18th, 19th century. So Dante is out here where my cursor is, just beyond Neptune, and Beatrice shows him 9 more planets of the angels heading back towards the sun.
Incredible.
My wife's formula gives me the orbits in Earth day time. So all these numbers you see are Earth day time. Here's my 591 right here, right? And so that's how many days it takes this hypothetical planet to go around the sun, which I just demonstrated. Now watch what happens when I bring in 3i Atlas. This is really going to get crazy, because 3i Atlas is headed 100% like a bullseye for 591. You see, this is, I remember when this graphic first came out, I calculated using a ruler and ratio calculations, if Mars has an orbit of 686.98 days, where would 591 be? It would be inside the orbit of Mars right here, And so 3i Atlas is 5 degrees above the ecliptic plane, so it would fly right over it, right over its orbit, its exact orbit.
Stunning.
And that's its bullseye. And at perihelion, which was the 29th of October, which we just had, and the 30th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big news broke. But I calculated it would hit the center point October 23rd, which happens to be my 15-year-old daughter Alira's birthday, which is also quite stunning. But on the 19th of October here, when we had the huge internet outage that affected Amazon and hundreds of apps worldwide,
Yep.
all day, happened when it hit here.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that's not a coincidence. On November 11th, it's going to be right around here on this, because it's basically holding this position for quite a while. So right away, I became interested. And then I did a calculation, which was, according to Avi Loeb, the lead Harvard astronomer, who was telling the world there's a high probability that this is an alien spacecraft made out of nickel the size of Manhattan at the very least, the island of Manhattan.
12 miles, yeah.
And I know that's really far out. Like, he's a Harvard physicist, right? Like how do you say he's lost his mind? Well, if you look at his math, I'm going to show you something here that is based on his first hypothesis before I go. So I'm going to go to his page on Medium. I have a page on Medium where my more advanced articles are written. So we go to this. This news broke yesterday. This is just stunning. But his first, we'll do his news, and then I'll show you what's called the odds. So here we go. Avi Loeb's Medium page. This news broke yesterday. And the news that broke yesterday and the day before is that, according to data that's collected at perihelion, which is mean 3i Atlas is closest to the sun, it exhibited non-gravitational, which means not natural, acceleration, which means there has to be a technology behind it. And it was emitting more blue light than the sun, whereas comets will emit more reddish orange light at perihelion, which is reflective of the sun. But instead, it was emitting more blue light than the sun, which means it had its own energy signature. And this is the article. This article should have shocked the world when he published it 1 day ago. So on the 31st, it should have shocked the world, but the mainstream press didn't even seem to notice. So then what he does here is he calls for Congress, because this is where the story starts to get into what people call conspiracies, is because we shut down the U.S. government October 1st. And I'll show you what that means. And we blocked images to the Mars HiRISE camera, which is literally the best camera in the solar system starting that day. And it is, I know cameras. I mean, I was a professional photographer and used to develop film in the old days. Mm-hmm. So let me show you what happens when you go to I'm going to click on the.
I love this the spiritual physics science connection. It's stunning. Very, very well done.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you can appreciate that, because I mean, when the older you get, and not necessarily because we're older, we want to know where we're going next, right? I mean, and to really start to look at evidence in near-death experiences starts to give people some sort of promise or hope that we know where we're going to go next. I don't know what's going on with my screen here, but I'm somehow zoomed in super huge on the screen here on our podcast. So I'm trying to find my trying to find out how that even happened. Okay, so there it is. There's my share screen. So share screen. Am I sharing screen right now or no?
No, not yet.
Okay, so let's go. What can I go to here? Because I'm trying to see what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this next. Okay. This is really super advanced. This is a paper that came out just a few days ago. And in this paper, physicist Beatrice Villarreal is one of the lead physicists from Sweden on this project, but so are many world-renowned physicists, started to notice, and this is really evidence of my theory of hyperdimensional planets that are in this golden ratio synchronicity to Earth's orbit and the orbits of the known planets, which would be an enormous breakthrough mathematically, because in the world of Galileo and Newton and many early mathematicians, to find the algorithm to the orbits of the planets has never been accomplished or resolved, which my wife's formula combined with my knowledge did. But what you're seeing on the screen here are images from the Palomar Observatory in San Diego, California, taken in the 1950s of whole stars or planets with these blue circles. Can you see these blue circles where my cursor is?
Yep.
That were photographed, and only minutes later in the next photograph, they vanished, gone. And it took them quite a few years. And in this paper, they have documented a great number of cases where these planets or stars, we don't know what they are actually appearing and vanishing. It's taken a long time to come to this. So, I mean, for people who want to see the whole, presentation of that on my Medium page and where my articles are posted on that, you can. But basically, this should also be probably one of the biggest stories in the world now, because when you get into this kind of physics, you can explain. We have 3 cases now of hyperdimensional, meaning planets that appear in our solar system and vanish. We have Vulcan, we have the miracle of the sun at Fatima, and now we actually have 3i Atlas doing the same thing. So what I was going to show is how we shut down. Let me go to where 3i Atlas is right now. And you're going to see how this all played out. Because what I did is I mapped 3i Atlas as it was coming into the solar system. Every orbit of every planet it crossed lined up with a major the most powerful religious states for Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and even the ancient Egyptians. Every planet it crosses, I mapped that. But what's more stunning is okay, here we go. I'm going to go to what happened on the 19th, 20th of October, right here. Can you see this article on my Medium page? Just want to make sure.
It's not coming up yet.
Okay, so I'm not sharing screen yet. That's because I know how to make this shrink down, but we are somehow.
Another thing that's incredible is the Economic Times of all journalist magazines basically said filmmaker and author David Sarita, who collaborated with MIT physicist Bogdan Maglik on nuclear fusion research, had detected unusual light emissions from the interstellar object 3i Atlas on October 13th, 2025. Sarita claimed that the pulses followed a Fibonacci sequence coinciding with the 108th anniversary of the miracle of the sun at Fatima. So stunning.
Well, that also happened. That's right. That also happened. And there's so much data here. I mean, in this particular article here so remember, they shut down the Mars high-rise camera October 1st. Guess what happened on October 1st? It was Yom Kippur, which is when 3i Atlas arrived at Mars. Perfectly timed. Yom Kippur is when Moses receives the second set of 10 commandment tablets, and the God of the Bible comes down. He's obviously on earth on Mount Sinai. And it became noted as the Day of Atonement of Sins for the Israelites, where in the Holy of Holies temple in Jerusalem, in Solomon's temple, the high priest enters 1 day per year to atone for the sins of the people. When Christ was crucified, a lightning bolt strikes the Holy of Holies and tears it open and knocks the foundation pillars to the ground, signifying the tremendous importance of the Holy of Holies. So why is it, you'll see this, and so are you seeing my screen now with this article?
Yes. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why is it that when 3i Atlas hit the orbit of 591, with all the cameras turned down, I went to an older solar cam because 3i Atlas was pairing with the sun. And I went to the LASCO camera, which they didn't turn off because the good solar camera, the NASA SDO, Solar Dynamic Observatory, was turned off on Yom Kippur. The U.S. government shut down on Yom Kippur, day 1, October 1st. And the Mars high-rise is still shut down as of October 1st, which is the best camera in the solar system. And you can see in this image here, up in the top right corner, I get this object. Now, this thing is huge. This thing can't be 3i Atlas. I'm proposing we're getting a glint off of 591 because this is where it would be. And to the right here is we see all this incredible structured geometry in this glint coming off of this. And due to mathematics, I can determine with the LASCO camera looking at the sun here and the coronagraph of the solar emissions that this is planetary in size. Because 3i Atlas would be somewhere here, which would be a speck by comparison. And so what happens is I immediately take note of this enormous object, and then the European spacecraft called the ESA ExoMars releases images, which I screen grab. And these glints are what's coming off of what they're telling us is 3i Atlas. The problem is when I did mathematics on the size of the measurement from the Mars ESA, this thing is way too big to be 3i Atlas. And look at these geometries. Look at them.
Wow.
Like, that's no comet.
No.
And what ends up happening is these images get smeared in a fuzzball through image stacking and released on Avi Loeb's website, and we lose the geometric, figures of the glinting when they do that as a form of cover-up. So this is an example of that camera looking at Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. So Mercury, of course, is closer to the sun. Venus is right next to us. And if you look at the size scale of this, and you look at the size scale of what I'm talking about, I'm looking at something here, which is a planet. The problem is on the LASCO camera, C3, the object appears and then it vanishes in the next frame. You see in this frame, it's not there. So I thought NASA removed it, but they didn't. And then this huge thing comes streaking by, which shouldn't be there. And then the story gets more and more mysterious. So now I'm going to go back to the newest article I did on this, which is this one.
So when these stars and planets blink in and out, do you think they're moving in between different dimensions or?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly just like the UAPs, UFOs are. They're jumping dimensions.
Nice. Okay.
Is what they're doing. So we live in a hyperdimensional solar system that has cycles which is what the miracle of the sun at Fatima is, where they pop into our dimension and pop out. So 3i Atlas, remember, its bullseye is where I'm looking. So now we look at this new article here on my Medium blog, and I'm saying that the prerequisite to this article is you have to understand that we live in a hyperdimensional solar system with hyperdimensional visits by UAP UFOs. Vanishing and appearing stars is a prerequisite. I know the story. This is the link in the Astronomical Journal to this new paper that was just released on the Vanishing Star Project. You can see examples here of another one appearing and then vanishing. I mean, I think this, for sci-fi people, should be the most exciting story of the decade. This image here on the right in the gray is similar to the coronagraph style imaging of the sun by an amateur. And this yellow line shows us the trajectory of 3i Atlas, which just appears like a tiny little speck following this line of October dates. And the 20th being right where my arrow is here is where 3i Atlas would be. And my object is in the same synchronicity as it, but it shows a little bit higher in the frame. You see the object on the left is here. So it's way too big to be 3i Atlas. And it's what you would call a megastructure. And if 591 is a planetary sized object that's jumping in and out of dimensions, it is stunning. Remember, this is an ESA image, European Space Agency image, showing megastructure geometries. This is a link to the video where I got the screen grabs of it. This is a close-up. I mean, that should just shock the world right there. And then you can see here, my object again appears, and then in the next frame, it's gone. And then later, proving it's not an anomaly, it appears again. It actually appeared that day on the 20th of October. Remember, this is the date I predicted 3i Atlas would intersect the orbit of 591.
Wow.
And here it is up here. So it's appearing and disappearing. And in regular science, here I got it 2 frames in a row. Right, nice. In this frame. And I got it in this frame. Remember, if we were looking at Mars high-rise camera images, it's a gigapixel scale camera, whereas this old camera is only 1 megapixel. Although, see, look, now here it is. It's gone. The same day it's gone. And then again, going back to the trajectory, I'm right on target for the date for it to be paired with 3i Atlas. So it's all in perfect synchronicity to what I predicted. Now this article here, what are the mathematical odds of 3i Atlas pairing with 4 planets during its trajectory? And this pairing is, you see, here is 3i Atlas on the 3rd of October, 1 day after Yom Kippur ends. It in its closest position to Mars when the photography from the Mars high-rise was supposed to begin. We're going to come back to this in a minute because we have a Congresswoman, Representative Paulina Luna, demanding that NASA release these images.
Oh, fantastic. Good for her.
Right? The odds mathematically in Mars' 687-day orbit of Atlas coming in and being paired with Mars is millions to 1 against it. But then it pairs again. This was Yom Kippur. Notice that 3i Atlas, Mars, and Mercury and the Sun are paired. And then here we actually add in our new comet K1 Atlas. Mercury, Mars, and Atlas are all paired. So it really knows what it's doing. And now here it is. This date is coming up November 3rd. This is 2 days. It's going to be paired with Venus, which is like a conjunction. You see, Venus has a 225-day orbit. So why isn't Venus here? Why isn't it over here? Why isn't it on the opposite side? Why is it paired? You see what I mean by pairing? And then on Christmas Day, it's going to 3i Atlas is going to be a Great Pyramid angle between Earth and 3i Atlas off its trajectory line. Now, this is huge news here. This is massive. And I'm about to reveal something just before Christmas. We should come back because I have proof of something, the most powerful position for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam that will prove that all three religions are tied to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. I'm going to prove it. I've already figured it out, and I have the graphics. I'm just not ready to tell the world yet because it's going to blow their minds. So that will explain why Atlas is at Great Pyramid. So that means if you're looking up the slope of the Great Pyramid at 51.853972 degrees between Earth, you'll reach 3i Atlas. Again, how does it know how to do this? But what this calculation shows is what are the odds? Now we've got Jupiter. It's going to pair with Jupiter on the 16th of March in the spring, which is Islam's night of power, which marks the day that the Archangel Gabriel appears to Muhammad and starts orating the first verses of the Quran. They celebrate it this spring on this date. How is that happening? And with Jupiter's 12-year orbit, just a shaving under 12 years, how did it pair with Jupiter? So I asked ChatGPT first to tell me what are the odds of these pairings occurring individually, and those numbers are cited here. Jupiter, one orbit is 0.0294%, right? See that?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I go back to Earth, it's 0.22%. So it's not even 0.25%. But the odds of all four of them pairing, you're not going to believe this number, is 2.7 trillionths of one.
Oh my God.
Do you know what that means? I mean, Avi Loeb didn't even figure this out because he only did the odds of the pairing of a single orbit with Jupiter. I'm saying, what are the odds of it going through the solar system at its trajectory and velocity so perfectly, and the timing of when it enters to do this is 2.7 trillionths of one.
Incredible.
That means we have the proof of we're dealing with something highly. In fact, one of the questions I ask is how would a human do with a calculator and a physicist if I hypothetically said to the best astronomers in the world, tell me what date, what velocity, and what angle a comet naturally driven by gravitational forces would have to enter the solar system to intersect all of these positions in the pairing with the planets to happen. Could anybody do that before this ever occurred? And I guarantee the answer is no. They couldn't figure it out.
No way.
But supercomputers and AI can, which is why I use ChatGPT to do my calculation, because I knew what to ask it. But then if I ask it to do the next thing, which is even more impossible, which is wait you see how 3i Atlas pairs with all the planets on the religious states, which I'll go over really quickly. How much time do we have left? Because I think we had an hour.
Yeah, definitely. You got time. We'll give you a little bit more time if you need it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like quarter to. So let me go to here. Proof of intelligence. Oh no, I got to show you this one. I got to show you this one first, because this one. Okay, because 3i Atlas sends the same model that my wife sent, and it does it in its axial rotation, which means on its axis, spinning on its axis. This data came out again on Avi Loeb's site, and it does it by sending us one number Can you see this? 3i Atlas sends the age of Methuselah. Can you
Yes.
see that? Okay. So what 3i Atlas does is it's rotating on its axis, right? And I had already calculated that 3i Atlas, Oumuamua, which was the first interstellar visitor of the three. 3i Atlas means third interstellar visitor. We had three of them. We had Oumuamua, then we had 21 Borisov, which nobody paid attention to, which means they're not comets. They're coming from beyond the solar system's perimeter where the Oort cloud is, which is where all the comets, basically originate. And I calculated the ratio at perihelion when all three of them were closest to the sun, and it was 1 to the golden ratio squared. And Avilov didn't even notice this. But so then what I do is I take the rotational period of 3i Atlas, which is 16.16 hours plus or minus 0.01, and I convert it to minutes. When I convert it to minutes, I was stunned at the number because it was 969 minutes, which is the age of Methuselah, the oldest living man in the Bible. And so then I took, again, I can use 16.15 hours times 60 equals 969 because that's within tolerance. And I can use exactly 16.16 hours, which is 969.6. And with that, I take that number because I know that number in my wife's hyperdimensional solar system model is right here. It's hyperdimensional planet, which is the age of Methuselah, divided by the golden ratio gives me 599.25 instead of 591. Divided by the golden ratio again gives me 98.62% of the orbit of Earth. So divided by the golden ratio again gives me 98% of Venus, and divided by the golden ratio again, I get 141.46 instead of 139.5 for what I call angelic thrones. And divided by the golden ratio again, I actually get 99.38% accuracy for Mercury's orbit. And the outer planets, I've stated all my accuracies here. So 3i Atlas sent us the same message with a slight adjustment to my wife's model. And what I decided to do next was to put the two together, overlap her model, the Crystal Menchaca Sarita model, with the 3i Atlas model of the hyperdimensional solar system. This is my wife's model, and subtract the difference. And when I subtracted the difference, I got Fibonacci's famous numerical sequence for each planet.
Wow.
Which is 0011235813134 as the differential between them, which is super advanced and it's super mind-blowing and stunning. Because it's like, here's my hands. This is the Crystal Sarita model. This is what I call the Methuselah model sent by 3i Atlas as a number of minutes in its rotational model. And I fused them together. And then I subtract the differences of the numbers, and I'm left with Fibonacci's number sequence in the middle as a form of what we call in brainwave training binaural, meaning left-right brain synchronicities. If I put this as a frequency and this as a frequency together, the brain will interpret the overlapping as the Fibonacci sequence with each number in the sequence attributed to each one of the planets, including the planets of the angels. That just utterly destroyed all chances of this just being random noise. The 3i Atlas, like Carl Sagan said, the famous astronomer in the 1970s, if we met an extraterrestrial civilization, they would communicate with us in the form of mathematics. So for me, as really a junior physicist, that would be considered really simple mathematics that a physicist who does these huge calculations on the chalkboard would overlook. But why is it, with my math being so simple, I know it may not be simple to some of the people in the audience, but I tell you, if I paid 100 people to follow me for a week, I guarantee you'd all walk away understanding this. You just spend a week with me, and you would actually have a great understanding of it, because all of the greatest mathematical formulas in physics, including Einstein's equals mc squared, are simple, elegant formulas. And Paul Dirac's formula that won him the Nobel Prize for the discovery of antimatter, which could explain this, these planets could be made of antimatter, is so simple it looks like a kid did it, and he won the Nobel Prize for it. I mean, it's ridiculous when you look at his formula that won him the Nobel Prize. I could actually show you that. So that means we live in a hyperdimensional universe. 3i Atlas is on cue. It's like the pointer going through the classroom and saying, look here, look here, look here, on these dates that match our most powerful religious holidays, which is the last thing I want to show you today. And this is here it is, proof of intelligence. Now I got to do share screen again. Pretty sure this is where I want to be. And
yeah, the math is incredible on this. It's amazing how you're having communication, multidimensional communication with your former wife, and you have the spiritual connection with the religions and the mathematical physics connection with 3i Atlas. Wow, unbelievable.
Well, it's funny, you know, for me, when my wife died, I'm not satisfied with, you know, she's in heaven. I want to know where it is. And I'm so passionate about it. That's what is driving me.
Beautiful.
Is, sorry, I'm not just going to be satisfied. I have to know where she is. Why did she build this simple mathematical? In fact, what happened to me, and show you this, after my wife died, I had to get a new credit card. And I didn't even notice this until my daughter wanted to make a purchase. I've actually canceled this card, but you know how you get a 3-digit security code in the back of your card?
Right. Wow.
Nobody would know what that number means except for me, because if this number appeared on my credit card before she called up my name, but I wouldn't know what to do with it, and I wouldn't even care.
Those synchronicities, I love them. They're telling us that we're on the right track. That's amazing.
Yeah. So here we go. Coming into the solar system really quick. I'm using the Sky Live, going back on the clock. 3i Atlas comes within Neptune's orbit on the Ascension Day for Jesus. June 13th is Orthodox Ascension in 2024, okay, which is on a lunar calendar. So that is truly remarkable. Okay, so then it comes within the orbit of here it is here, of the orbit of Uranus. Uranus, as the Greeks describe it, on May 6, 2024. That was last May 6th. Jesus' Ascension Day falls on May 6 in 1948 and 2027. The Buddha's birthday was May 6 in 2014, and May 1st, May 1 in 2025, and May 1 would still be within 3i Atlas crossing the orbit of Uranus. I'm going to do this quickly because it's, I mean, I could spend a lot of time on this because it's truly remarkable mathematically. So 3i Atlas comes within Jupiter's orbit on Jesus' Ascension window. June 13th is Jesus' Ascension Day in Eastern Orthodox. Buddha's Day of Enlightenment is June 13th in 2014. I mean, I could argue with people about lunar calendars, which takes quite a few hours to do. This is 3i Atlas comes within Saturn's orbit on the way in on Muhammad's night vision, which is his journey through the seven heavens, January 26th and 27th in 2025, right? So this is accurate to the year. Okay, so that's truly remarkable. Then it comes within the orbit of 16 Psyche, the most valuable asset in the solar system, on the 14th, 15th of August, which is the Mother Mary's Day of Ascension every year on the solar calendar. It's not on the lunar calendar. So 16 Psyche, again, is worth countless trillions of dollars because of all the precious metals on that dwarf planet asteroid, which is in the asteroid belt. And again, that is truly remarkable. Then it crosses 3 Atlas comes at its closest position, which is October from Mars, October 2nd, 3rd, 2025, which is Yom Kippur, right? So we already noted the Yom Kippur alignment. Is the day of the government shutdown, is the day they turned off, they wouldn't let us see the images of it, which means they're afraid for us to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what happened on Yom Kippur when we see the alignment on October 1st. This is the day of the government shutdown. Do you think they didn't know this? I guarantee you they know this. It was all timed perfectly. And this is the side view, the 13th of October, which is when the flashes occurred, which is the anniversary of the miracle of the sun at Fatima. It came just inside the orbit of Mars. And then you come to the bullseye of 3i Atlas, which is my hyperdimensional planet 591, and which is what we're in the middle of right now. And then October 29th, 30th at perihelion, which is its closest to the sun, right? So it's now inside the orbit of 591. Muhammad's birthday in 2022 was October 29th, and Muhammad's birthday in 2020 was October 30th. You can't make this stuff up.
Wow.
So then it comes at Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I showed what happens on Christmas. It will be at Great Pyramid angle. Now look what it does. This is from Avi Loeb's website. It basically flatlines in its closest position to Earth from late November all the way through the holidays. This is Christmas Day at the top of the blue line. Boxing Day, it just jettisons away, right? And there's a reason for that. It's not using any propulsion to do that, but it's just the way the physics work of Earth getting closer and 3i Atlas getting further. They kind of do this cat and mouse chase here. So how is it doing this?
Yeah.
It's incredible. And then this is Christmas Day when it's going to be a Great Pyramid angle to Earth. And I've got a huge reveal just before Christmas on this news. And then we keep going on the way out. It will cross 16 Psyche again, January 7th, 8th, which is the Orthodox Christmas Day. And for the Eastern Orthodox Church. And Eastern Orthodox Christmas, again, is 3 days after winter perihelion, which is when Earth is closest to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So our Christmas, Western Christmas, is 3 days after winter solstice. So January 1st is actually right in the middle of the two dates for Eastern and Western Christmas, actually. It's right in the middle. So then we go to the first dates for the new year. Sorry, not Christmas. So now we go to it will cross Jupiter. It closest position to Jupiter is March 16th, which is when Congressman Paulina Luna is asking Congress to use the orbiter, the Juno spacecraft on Jupiter, to save its fuel because it's going to be so close. Look how long the orbit of Jupiter is. Again, we already showed the mathematical odds of the pairing being almost impossible unless this thing knew what it was doing. But that happens to be the night of power in the Swan, which is the correct date on the lunar calendar for 2026. This spring will be 2026 when this big crossing with Jupiter occurs. And then it crosses the orbit of Jupiter on March 25th, 26th, which are Easter dates in 1894, 1951, 2046. And Easter was also on March 26th, 1989, and 2076. So we're crossing Jupiter's orbit in the Easter window. And then we come to the, this is when it crosses Saturn. July 19th to the 22nd is Sirius heliacal rising, which is the way the ancient Egyptians calculated New Year's Day, is when Sirius rises on the eastern horizon on that date. Notice those are the dates for Apollo, the lunar landing in 1970. I think it was 79, right? So notice that we did that on Sirius heliacal rising, which are the kind of things that NASA does. It's also Mary Magdalene's feast day on the 22nd of July. So we're going to be right here at Saturn on that religious day. So it's showing us actually all these harmonics, what I call the harmony of the order, are active during these religious dates. 3i Atlas intersects the orbit of Uranus May 24th, 2027, which is Buddha's birthday in 2026 on the lunar calendar. And Jesus' Ascension Day was May 26th in 2022. You always see the Buddha's birthday, Jesus' Ascension Day pairing on multiple years on the lunar calendar. And then Neptune, this is Neptune. Atlas will intersect the orbit of Neptune April 12th, 2028. That's how long it's going to get out to Neptune. So it's going to be in our solar system for a while, which is Easter will be on April 12th in the year 2020, 2026. And so there you go. So that shows you. Now, when I ask ChatGPT to calculate the mathematical odds of this happening, the number is even more staggering.
I'm sure it is.
Of it being of what you call your mathematical odds. Like it's beyond ludicrous at that point.
So it's almost like it's being steered by intelligent life.
Well, I would have to say something akin to the supreme being of the galaxy.
Wow.
Actually. I mean, I would literally call it that.
With all the connections and timing and everything, it's got to be. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it has to be an absolutely supreme. I mean, if it's AI that's doing it for an extraterrestrial civilization or race, could it figure it out? Well, one of the things about AI, just like, I mean, I know what calculations to ask ChatGPT. I just have to know what to ask it, and it will do the math correctly, right? So, but there's a difference between a human being trying to do this kind of math on their own with a calculator, right? So, and that's more difficult because you have to, like when I do math calculations on my own, which I do a lot, I do it 3 times to make sure before I go, public with something that I'm going to check it 3 times to make sure I'm getting the same number. And it's true, once in a while, I'll make a mistake and I'll go, how the heck did I make that mistake? Well, that's why I check it 3 times. But I have not seen chat make a mistake, right? Because I can check it.
And the propulsion of this, the way it moves and so forth, there doesn't seem to be any propulsion that we're having any understanding of as well.
Well, that's what we looked at yesterday when Loeb put this out, that he knew all along that at perihelion, its closest distance to the sun, we would either know if it's a comet or not if it shows unnatural acceleration, because the gravitational pull of the sun on 3i Atlas could perturb it, and so therefore you can see energetically if there's a change, and there was, and he posted it. You'd think the entire world, because all the conservative astronomers, look, he's already proven it's made out of manufactured nickel. He's already proved it has its own light. It's not just reflecting sunlight. It's emitting its own light, and he attributed that possibly to antimatter, actually. I know all about antimatter. It's the most powerful stuff. When it's created by mega lightning strikes on the Earth, it's immediately annihilated. And when it annihilates, it produces a gamma ray burst. And so it appears and disappears constantly on the Earth due to very powerful lightning strikes, which are driving the Tesla-Schumann resonance frequency. And therefore, it's unstable. But is it possible to exhibit a, try and find this website for you where the CERN particle accelerator, CERN antimatter Paul Dirac. I'm going to show you this page because this is really worth noting.
Cool.
So, because when antimatter was discovered, and if our planets that we're talking about are antimatter planets, which they could be, especially if there's a way to stabilize, it explains why they can't stay in our dimension very long, even if it's a stable form. And of course, the Vanishing Stars project that I presented demonstrates these whole planets or stars can disappear within 15 minutes.
Yep.
So this is the antimatter page on the CERN particle website. In 1928, British physicist Paul Dirac wrote down an equation. This is a really simple equation that combined quantum theory and special relativity to describe the behavior of an electron moving at relativistic speed. The equation which won him the Nobel Prize was x squared equals 4 can have two possible solutions. X is equal to 2 or x is equal to minus 2. That's it. And minus 2 would be antimatter. This simple equation, which I understand because I've actually studied antimatter and we photographed antimatter, led to the possibility, it's right here, but when antimatter come into contact with matter, they annihilate, disappearing in a flash of energy. So the Big Bang should have created equal amounts of matter and antimatter. So why is there far more matter than antimatter in the universe? But what this led to was the possibility that there could be antimatter persons, antimatter planets, antimatter stars, and antimatter galaxies. So that just became standard. And even though that was mathematically proven that there could be antimatter planets, stars, persons, and stars, and even a whole antimatter galaxy, that used to be written right here on the website. They took it freaking down because I've been quoting this. It's got to be here. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. No, sorry, it's right here. Okay. Dirac interpreted the equation to mean that for every particle there exists a corresponding antiparticle exactly matching the particle but with opposite charge. For example, for the electron, there should be an anti-electron or positron, and identical in every way, but with a positive electric charge. The insight opened the possibility of entire galaxies and universes made of antimatter. And of course, galaxies are made of planets, stars, and people. So there you go. It's what I'm saying is not pie in the sky. It's real. And it's happening. And I believe on the LASCO camera, we may be looking at actual images of the 591 blinking in and blinking out as 3i Atlas intersected it. Exactly on the date on that camera that I predicted. I mean, you think I'd get the Nobel Prize, but I won't because these people... Here's another thing I can show you, which is, okay, first I'm going to show you before we close the European Space Agency's ExoMars video frames of 3i Atlas. You see, it's going right by. You see it up here?
Yep.
You see those geometries inside of it as it's going by. They've got this continuously running on the website. But then there's these other objects streaking by in some of the frames. And those are very, very interesting. That's a whole other subject that Loeb was actually asked. All I did is do screen grabs to capture those and blow them up. And you could see these megastructure geometries. And knowing the optics of the camera they're using, it's just simply way too big to really accept that that's 3i Atlas, that they're probably looking at something else. In fact, from those screen grabs, I'm looking at an image right now. From those screen grabs, a friend of mine in Connecticut, Erica, put this in her new iPhone, and she just did a little bit of contrast enhancements. This is what it looks like.
Wow.
I mean, does that look like a comet to you? That's from the European Space Agency. Just some contrast filters. So she's She's not actually changing the shape and the size and dimensions of it. She's just enhancing shadows. I mean, what you're looking at here from Erica's photo editing on it is probably why the whole government shut down so they could turn off the camera, because this is low resolution on the European Space Agency.
Good point.
Compared to what the high-rise camera should show. Let me show you the high-rise website just for noting for your viewers. I'm going to click on the high-rise camera, which, even though Paulina Luna's letter, which is just yesterday or the day before, is calling for NASA to share the photos, Avi Loeb, Harvard astronomer, cannot get. So I'm just going to click on the high-rise camera right here, and it's been frozen since October 1st. See the last image, October 1st, 2025. This is the best camera in the solar system. It's far better than the Hubble. It's a gigapixel camera. Now, I check it every day. They just won't open it, even with her demanding, because, and if they do finally share us an image, they're probably going to smudge it. Probably going
distort it.
Us, garbage is what they're going to give us.
So incredible stuff, David. Incredible review of what's going on out there. I have like a billion other questions. I'd love to. I'm following your work. It's absolutely incredible. I recommend everybody else follow you. Your website is davidsereda.co. DAVIDSEREDA.co. So
and also I want to note that Trump on perihelion, notice this, he called for the detonation and testing of atomic weapons at perihelion, and everybody thinks it has to do with Russia and China. Okay, so it has nothing to do with them. He's sending a signal at perihelion. Look at the bombs we have on the Earth. Don't mess with us. He's scared. Guarantee. That's why he did it on that date, which was he made the announcement on the 29th of October. Now they realize it's unrealistic because we don't even have the trained staff and technology to do a below ground. In fact, Kennedy in 1963, August 5th, the anniversary of Hiroshima, signs the nuclear test ban treaty that we can't test above ground, we can't test in the ocean, and we can't test in space. But I think what Trump did in using the language and understanding of symbols, he shut down the government on Yom Kippur, turned off the cameras, and then he calls for the testing of nuclear weapons at perihelion. So he's not talking to, I mean, Russia actually built the most powerful nuclear weapon. I know everything about bombs and nuclear weapon. Wow. In fact, I worked for Department of Defense as a defense contractor in Irvine, California with Magwitch, a company called High Energy Micro Devices. We were contracted out of Fort Belvoir in Virginia to build the most advanced weapons and contraband detection systems in the world using gamma rays. And I had to learn everything about bombs and contraband and how to find them. And I knew personally through him Glenn Seaborg, who chaired the Atomic Energy Commission, authorizing all nuclear testing in Nevada under Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon. And we worked with MIT nuclear weapons physicists like Lawrence Lidsky. And I just got trained in everything nuclear. And I could tell you a lot, but I can tell you that even though the Tsar Bomba was the most powerful nuclear bomb, which the Russians stole, they stole the hydrogen bomb and they stole the atomic bomb using spies at Los Alamos. They didn't know how to do it on their own. They stole it. And they, of course, they have good spies. And you know, we lost in the war of spies. I think the reason UFOs are more classified and have been more classified than the atomic bomb is because the secrecy failed at Los Alamos to protect the most valuable knowledge in the world. So yes, when the Russians stole the hydrogen bomb next, and they built a bigger one, Tsar Bomb, but we already know they have the single most powerful nuclear weapon on Earth, even though we do as well. It's not likely that what Trump is saying is to scare off the Russians, is what I'm saying, and certainly not the Chinese. He does it on Yom Kippur. Sorry, he does it on perihelion October 29th or the 30th. So it hit the press on the 30th, but he does it on the 29th. So as a signature and as a symbol, he's got all the intel on 3i Atlas. We know it's alien technology, and we're scared. And so I don't think we have to be scared. When you look at all the religious states, I don't think there's evidence that this is about something intervening in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
with
that,
I get that it's benevolent.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean,
I'm looking forward to Christmas to see what it's going to do.
Very, very interesting times. Wow. This is one of the most magnificent things I've seen, David. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and we'll have to do a follow-up. I'm really
glad. I'd love to. Absolutely. Yeah, please.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Have a good day.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford, 2025. It's Halloween, which is really the Celtic New Year, and we are actually entering an age where it might become the actual New Year again, because we're dealing with the end of a project that's been going on for thousands of years, and it could, end up with even the calendars being changed. But getting to the news, of course, the big thing on my radar was U.S. President Donald Trump visiting Japan and then going to Korea to meet the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, the first, let's talk about his visit to Japan. Basically, a good analogy is like he went to a Japanese hostess bar. When you go to a Japanese hostess bar, you sit around on the table with beautiful women who pour you drinks and flatter you. But then at the end of the evening, when you want to go home, you can't take any of them with you, and you get a big bill. And they say, next time, please come again, and maybe you get lucky, but your credit's maxed out, so bring cash. That's the summary of what happened in Japan. The only thing he came out with was a promise to plant 250 cherry trees in Washington, D.C. Now, the meeting in China was in South Korea with Xi Jinping was a little bit more substantive. We actually had someone on the ground there, but basically all that happened was China agreed to postpone the cutoff of rare earth minerals and buy some soybeans and give the U.S. a year to make adjustments. So they used the metaphor of a big ship turning around. You can't just, eliminate $1 trillion trade deficit instantly with tariffs. It requires structural changes. But the structural changes that are required cannot be done with the U.S. government as it currently exists. And people need to understand that the collapse of the U.S. government means the end of a project that has been going on at least for several hundred years. The people who were in charge of the West basically had a long-term plan which involved destroying Russia and turning it into several, maybe 10 or so vassal states, then going and attacking China and dividing China into 5 warring states. And after that, they were going to set up a world government with its capital in Jerusalem, ruled by members of a single tribe who wanted to enslave the rest of humanity. And this project is grinding to a halt. They failed to destroy Russia. In fact, they lost in Ukraine. As you can see from this clip where the Russian flag is now flying where Vladimir Zelensky was bragging it would never fall. That war is basically over. Now, the Satanists who rule the United States still want to start another war. They're desperately trying to start a war with Venezuela. It's not working. They are being wound down, but clearly a civil war is still happening in the United States. Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, wanted to find out if a foreign government, and of course everyone knows that's Israel, and Kash Patel, who's married to an Israeli agent, tried to put the kibosh on that. So there's still a fight within the U.S. military-industrial complex against those who still want this project for Israel. And this wasn't about Jews or anything. This was about this plan of Albert Pike's to start a war between Muslims and Christians, and then at the end there would be the world rule under Lucifer or Satan. This whole project is coming to an end. That's what we're dealing with. Now, the other thing that people need to understand about the United States is that the government is bankrupt, and U.S. military paychecks are not being paid, and food stamps will not be paid. And this is actually a good thing, because we don't want the current U.S. military to continue the way it is. It's not functional. For example, when Donald Trump came to Japan, he went on board the USS Washington, the aircraft carrier. Well, what happened to the Vincent Carl, whatever it was, that was sent to Yemen? I guess it never went back. They lost 3 aircraft carriers because they are obsolete. They are expensive white elephants with no military value, and a real military would instantly scrap them and turn them into drones and stuff. But so, we need much more fundamental change than business as usual. And our group is proposing, an Anglo-Saxon takeover of Canada and the United States to build a new capital somewhere in the central North America, which would no longer be a Zionist slave state, but actually working on behalf of the people. And if we don't do that, no matter what we try, China's going to keep out-competing us. They just announced their 5-year plan, and if you read the details, their government is trying to make things better for the people, the average people. That's what the most intelligent people in that country do. They figure, where do we all want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? How do we get there? And what do we have in the West? We have a bunch of control of the major corporations who are impoverishing the people, and have been since the 1970s, to finance their project to turn Jerusalem into a world capital for Satanists. And this has nothing to do with the Jews, okay? These people aren't Jews, let's get that clear. But they are Satanists, and there's a battle still going on. There's about 1 million of them in the United States, and they're fighting tooth and nail for control. And we have to fight them. Listen to Candace Owens talk about Charlie Kirk here.
Allow me to be very explicit, okay? I want war with all of you, okay? All of you. And there's a reason. I'm going to get to that reason in a little bit, but I want war with all of you. So write your articles, issue your statements, email the White House, reach out for comment, okay? Say whatever it is you want to say about me. I want war with all of you. Because I know this isn't right. And there is no way you are going to convince me and the rest of the world that all of this is normal. We're not just going to keep on going and jump into a succession plan. We're going to figure out what the hell happened on September 10th first.
That's the sentiment that is held by many people in the military and the agents. We have her back. We're not going to let them murder their way out of this one. We really do need a fundamental change. And people need to understand that when the Soviet Union fell, okay, this didn't mean the end of Russia, okay? The Soviet Union was a plan to create a world communist empire, and it fell. But now the Russian people are back to their Christian roots. They're richer and stronger than ever before. The same thing is going to happen to the United States. They're going to be liberated from Babylonian debt slavery, and they're going to start, once again, to have a government that actually works for the people and represents the people, not a group of Satanists. This is what we're fighting for. This is why we need to keep this fight going. And there will be turbulence as the old system collapses, but it's going to be a very good thing because there will be a jubilee. Americans will be freed from debt slavery, and all the money that was stolen from them from central bank fraud will be returned. And once again, the West will be able to outcompete or at least rival China on an equal basis, which is the end game. So hang in there, folks. It's going to be a rough ride, but humanity will be liberated, and this Zionist nightmare is going to end. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself this week. Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers. Oh, wait, one more thing. Take a look at this clip of Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. We've confirmed that Xi Jinping is about 5'9" by looking at a picture of him standing next to Boris Johnson. So what we have here is what I've been told by my CIA source who was at the meeting, that there was a white hat avatar of Donald Trump who probably met an avatar of Xi Jinping. But nonetheless, they both represent U.S. government power. But the point is that the white hats are on the case, and hang in there, folks, because we are going to win this. Okay. Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Hi, Ben. We have our first question for today. It says, I just heard that Anna von Reitz was summoned to the World Court to do a presentation at The Hague about the existence for the fake U.S. corporate government and how she has been the sole fiduciary of the lawful and solvent American government. What do you know about this, and is it real, and is it a true step to coming back to American governments?
I've talked to Anna von Reitz before, and I agree with a lot of what she says, and I know that she has some powerful military backing, and I support her work. We do need to end the fraudulent slave system that we currently have. Basically, right now, when someone is born in North America, they're issued a slave identification number or a social security number, and a bond backed by that person's lifetime of slave labor is issued. And that's what's called a birth certificate. So this is we are slaves, and her work will help liberate us from this slavery. And I wish her the best. Next question.
Hi, Ben. With the revelation of China buying so much land around our military bases, is it possible they're doing this to protect themselves? Are they really buying the lands to encroach upon our national security, or are they trying to protect themselves against us, as we've been revealed as having so many adverse activities around the world? Thank you for your opinion on this.
I don't have inside information, but my best guess is what's been happening is that the people who control the military-industrial complex, in order to keep getting money from China, have been selling anything and everything they can. They've sold them all the face recognition technology that the Chinese are now using. They're selling them intelligence on American people. And it wouldn't surprise me if they sold them land around U.S. military bases, as a way to keep their own show going. But I know I've studied China for 40 years. I've lived in Asia for about the same amount of time, and I know that what they're looking for is not conquest, but some sort of intermarriage. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but definitely the U.S. military should make sure that there's no Chinese military around their bases in North America. That's just common sense. Next question.
Hi, Ben. How can there be a jubilee for debt without removing all of the deep state criminals when every country carries out forensic audits and exposes the fraud and corruption, removing all the crooks and cheating people? Only then a reset can take place. No point rewarding deep state criminals with a reset. Otherwise, wouldn't they be able to just climb back up to where they are currently?
I actually agree completely with that. We need war crimes tribunals, and every politician who's been blackmailed, which is basically what we have to do in order to become a leader in the West in these days, needs to be removed, and they need to face war crimes tribunals. There's no other way around this. We can't just have a jubilee and then put the same people in charge. Although some may be, able to go through truth and reconciliation, depending on the circumstances, because, a lot of talented people are needed and were dragged reluctantly into this blackmail network. So I don't think we want to get all of them, but we certainly want to get the main bad actors and make sure they're never in a position of control over corporations or governments or our money supply ever again. Next question.
Hi, Ben. Is Hurricane Melissa that is supposed to obliterate Jamaica a weather warfare weapon? And if so, why target Jamaica?
Well, I have to look into that, but my initial assessment is that this is yet another use of weather warfare for real estate redevelopment. Basically, they wanted to get all those black people out of their slums in Jamaica so they could build some kind of, resort. And, this sort of thing has to be stopped. So we'll find out when we see who's planning to redevelop after that and where the money's coming from. But I'm pretty sure the trail will lead to Black Rock, Vanguard, and State Street. And the U.S. military needs to nationalize those ASAP and remove people like Larry Fink from control over our corporations and places like Google and Amazon and everything else. They need to be removed from control of corporations, and they need to have that weather warfare capability taken away from them. And that may mean we have to send troops to Antarctica. Next question.
Hi, Ben. We have our last question for today. It's been a long time since the last World War. Do you think with all of the global events occurring recently that we are due for another one?
Well, we're actually in the middle of a world war. I noticed that they just blew up a oil facility in Hungary because they're buying oil from Russia, and they blew up a big oil facility in California. There's sabotage going on in places like Mali where they're fighting over gold, and it's not a world war like we saw in the past because it involves information, it involves assassinations, it involves special forces, but it's happening all over the world, places like Afghanistan and Pakistan, or you name it. So we are in the middle of a world war, but I'm pretty sure that they're not going to, the military at the highest level have agreed, that means the Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, they're not going to allow a nuclear Armageddon, and we're not going to see like World War II, like millions of troops on the ground facing each other. The closest we got to that was Ukraine, and that's pretty well over now. So I think the hybrid World War III that we are in now is coming to an end. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself this week, and I hope to see you again next week.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Just had a show with Juan O'Savin, and the show that I did yesterday with Leo Zagami. Between those two shows, you should see the one with Leo first and then this one with Juan. Basically, we're exposing deep state activities going back throughout history, and very, very interesting, very mind-blowing, all of this. The way Juan tied it all together into, religious circles and so forth, and, how it basically that exposure, I think, is going to bring the whole that system down. All right. And also we talked about how in Utah they have a class action suit that's going against the current governor, and it's could be something that the entire country will use to basically take down all of the deep state illegal voting activities. So very, very amazing things going on. We're going to talk about some of that. The latest is that top Trump officials are moving onto military bases. Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and others have taken over homes that until recently housed senior officers. So, of course, being on a military base, they're going to get the benefit of the security of a military base. And, that's no one's going to be able to just walk in there and accost them. So former White House advisor Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, mother of 3 young children. And so she walked out of her front door Thursday morning last month and was confronted by a woman she did not know. and the woman told her, "I'm watching you." This was the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination. It also wasn't anything new because they've all had that before, as many of us have, unfortunately. All right, so from that, so what they're going to do is they're going to put a lot of these people in a protective custody, right? So that will move in and off military bases. On those military bases, of course, we have the military security forces that will protect them and so forth. And of course, they're protecting the bases, but they'll be on the protected base. So very, very important, I think, going forward to make sure that, we don't start to lose because the leftists are out of control, completely out of control. They want a war. They want to start a war. They want another civil war. It's not going to happen, but they're going to push it, and they're going to continue to try and assassinate the figures. Now, my thoughts are that Charlie Kirk was not assassinated, but they probably did, plan to assassinate him, and then they discovered that, and then built it out like he was being assassinated. All right, so same thing with President Trump and the people that planned all that were probably have already been, for the most part, have been pulled in and have been taken care of. Now, another thing that's happening is that the federal government and the Pentagon is readying thousands of guard reaction forces as U.S. mission widens. The Pentagon has ordered thousands of specialized National Guard personnel to complete civil unrest mission training over the next several months. I hope they've gotten a lot of these guys trained up already, because I don't think we have several months to go. All right, so maybe they're just releasing this stuff just to get everybody to get a feel for, what's coming. The Defense Department's newly established QRF, Quick Reaction Force, within the National Guard must be trained, equipped with riot control gear, and ready for deployment by January 1st, according to internal documents reviewed by the Washington Post. The 200 guards will be drawn from National Guard personnel whose primary focus is responding to disasters like nuclear accidents and terrorist attacks, documents said. All right, so they're supposed to have fully operational for civil unrest by April 1st, April Fool's Day, right? The total size of the force will be 23,500 troops across all 50 states and 3 territories, excluding the District of Columbia, D.C. The documents say most states will supply 500 personnel for the reaction force, with the rest falling between 250 and 450. So they'll be specifically trained. Now, you've probably seen a lot of these riots out there in Portland. They're not protests, they're basically rioters. And you've also seen them, of course, in Chicago and LA. Now, where they're at, you'll see on the building tops now, people with what looks like spotters and so forth. Those are snipers, right? So snipers, some of them armed with, paintball guns, but some of them have real guns, right? Sniper scopes and so forth. That's going to be an issue going forward. And I think some of these quick reaction forces are going to be trained in that. They'll be trained in, taking down rioters, how to deal with them. You have to set up basically a shield wall while someone is, taken from the crowd that is a real threat. Maybe that has thrown stuff or has maybe assaulted one of the federal officers or so forth. They'll be taken down, they'll be cuffed. And while they're doing that, as you guys have been seeing probably, there's basically a phalanx of people that surround them and keep them safe while they're trussing somebody up. and hauling them away. So that's part of the training those guys will be going through. Probably more specific training will, some of those guys and gals will be how to take people from vehicles, because we've seen vehicles try to like come in and assault people with vehicles. We've seen some of that. So some of those vehicles could be stopped, and then the people in those vehicles removed and then arrested and so forth. You'll probably see same thing in some buildings where people could start firing from buildings, and then you'll have a QRF basically will assault the building, take the building down. They'll if that happens where there's live fire coming from buildings or from building tops and so forth, you'll have the National Guard trained to actually react with real weapons, right? So this is coming. This is probably something that's already been readied for to a great extent. I think if it really got out of control, that the military, the regular military that are trained like special forces and so forth, would actually get involved. So that's what we're going to see going forward. So some of the National Guard, which is easier for the president to basically push out the National Guard forces and so forth. But for regular, thank you. But for regular military, it's a little bit different unless there's a national emergency, which Juan said that might be called soon, a national emergency. So what would cause a national emergency to be called? All right, think about the SNAP program. So the SNAP program doesn't look like it's going to get funded. So you're going to have a lot of people have already said that they're going to like get their food. They're going to steal it from stores, steal it from people, hold people up, take their money from them when they go to the ATMs and so forth. If they don't pass anything after tomorrow, guys, I would highly recommend that you don't go shopping this weekend, right? And you don't go out and go to the ATM. Don't blow this off, all right? Don't be a wise guy and think Mike doesn't know what he's talking about, all right? I absolutely know what I'm talking about because I've been in combat zones quite a bit, guys. We could very, very easily see combat zones in our cities very soon after this SNAP program, if it doesn't go through. I would be surprised if it doesn't, but it could be another one of those things that the Trump administration is willing to let this go through so that people can see just how evil and corrupt the Democrat Party is. It needs to go away, and this could be one of those things. Of course, they're already trying to spin it like it's the Republicans' fault, although the Republicans have been trying over and over again to pass some kind of bill to just target the funding for the SNAP program. So the Democrats are like, no, we get everything we want, or we don't want anything for anyone. So another thing they may be looking at is the National Guard not being funded as well. We saw that hurricane that went across the very east tip of Jamaica. It almost like it was targeting Guantanamo. All right, so they evacuated Guantanamo. Probably kept a few. I'm sure they kept some personnel there. You always do, but for the most part, they evacuated. Now, what are they trying to do? The deep state are they? Because they know, and probably some people have already gone to Guantanamo and trials and so forth. Are they trying to like destroy Guantanamo? Who knows? But whatever. Maybe it's just a little, Juan talked about it too in our show. Maybe it's just a poke at the people that are doing that, because they know that it's coming for them. So they're gonna put up resistance, wherever they can. One of the resistances is for the Democrat Party, which is basically their puppets. The complete Democrat Party is a puppet of the deep state, and they're gonna continue to resist at all cost, supplying money for the federal government so they can pay the military and the National Guard and the SNAP program, so that they, in the eyes of the Democrats and those people that are consciously compromised, will believe it's the Republicans' fault, right? Because they should have just let the Democrats have whatever they wanted, right? And fund whatever they want, transgender operations, whatever, whenever, as long as we get our food, it doesn't matter. All right, so that's one of the things that's going to be, probably used by the Democrats until at some point when the Democrats are finally gone, it won't be a problem anymore. Until that time, we're going to continue to see this stuff. All right. So Maryland Democrat indicted on extortion charges for allegedly putting hidden cameras out to use maybe an extortion against her opponent. So her political foe, she was concerned about Attar, Attar, Senator, Maryland State Senator, Dahlia Attar, Democrat from Baltimore, has been hit with federal charges of extortion and conspiracy after she allegedly concocted a plan to plant hidden cameras on a political enemy to obtain blackmail. So this is also something we're seeing in Utah, and something we're seeing in Hawaii, and something we're also seeing in Oregon, and possibly coming up in Colorado, where these Democrats and rhinos and so forth are being exposed for election fraud and so forth. So it goes on to say, Attar was concerned about a political foe saying negative things about her during her 2022 campaign for the House of Delegates, and planned to use hidden camera footage to expose an affair, according to the Washington Post. The unnamed foe, identified only as victim 1, was a consultant who had worked with Attar in the past. They reportedly had a falling out, however, after working together during an earlier campaign back in 2018. Attar, who was the first Orthodox Jewish woman to serve in the state Senate, wasn't alone in the scheme either. Her brother, Joseph Attar, a real estate developer in Baltimore, was also identified in the indictment, along with Kalman G. Finkelstein, who was the first Orthodox Jewish officer in the Baltimore Police Department since the 1960s, the Washington Post reported. Her brother Finkelstein are charged with 8 counts related to extortion and wiretapping. So the indictment outlined how the defense allegedly sought to plant hidden cameras and a smoke detector within an apartment that the former consultant was using to make recordings of her and another victim. So a lot of this stuff is starting to be exposed. It's going to start to come out, I think, hot and heavy. And it's what does SNAP stand for? Caroline, look it up and let us all know. So, all right. So I don't know off the top of my head. It is something about food, right? So SNAP. You guys ask me simple questions you can find out yourself, but Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, right? So in Louisiana, threat of lost SNAP food benefits is rattling the vulnerable. As SNAP cuts loom, there are food assistance resources helping fight food insecurity. Some states are saying they're not going to do anything. Walmart addresses social media rumors that it will close stores when SNAP benefits stop. Right. So I'm sure they're saying they're going to stay open, even though they're probably going to be targeted, guys. Walmart will definitely be targeted. If this thing goes on, into the weekend, it's basically people are going to snap. All right, you're going to have snapping, right? Snap people snapping. All right, they're going to snap mentally, and they just won't care. All right, they want their sodas, they want their Fritos, and all that stuff. And if they can't get them, they're going to like riot. Right. So, all right. So, be heads up, guys. I'm telling you, don't F around with this. If this goes down, if they don't get their money, if they don't get their snap, if they're not snappy with their snap, and I'm kind of joking around a little bit, but it could be deadly serious. All right. All right. Utah's election system under fire. All right. So this is something that Juan brought out, and I already signed up for it. Anyone can sign up for it. It's a class action. So after reviewing the brief below, should you wish to be party to the class action suit, please send us your name and email by submitting the form below. So blow it up, guys. Join a class action. This is worded, Juan said, and I started reading a little bit of it. It's worded so that this could be used throughout the United States, in every state, every county, you name it, where there was election fraud, and we know there was election fraud, this could potentially be used. All right, so I'm gonna click on this. You can click on this yourself. This is by Tracy Halverson, Sophie Anderson, Nancy Inman, Stephen Huber, Wayne Wickizer, and Daniel Newby. So they're going after the governor. This action targets a racketeering enterprise within Utah, orchestrated by defendants, including Governor Spencer Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, to manipulate Utah's election laws from 2016 to 2024 by unlawfully certifying candidates who sought nomination through signature gathering under Utah code, blah, blah, blah. All right, so this is some serious stuff, because we know this was done in every state during the 2020 election, and has been used since, as they're pointing out here, even all the way up into 2024. So a lot of different states, like we were talking about, are probably going to be able to use this. Now, if you go at the bottom of this page, it says apply to join our class action suit. It's got a little form there. I've already filled it out. All it is your name, your email, phone number, send it in, and boom. All right, so very, very easy. Thank you for taking time to fill out this form. So go to the site, utahcorruption.com, and you can go through any part in here that you find interesting. It's quite large, all of the different papers. I guess lots and lots, right? So it has some very interesting. So I guess there's some exhibits. Before Utah passed legislation known as Bill 54, Utah election law gave political parties freedom to choose how they would nominate candidates for general election. And I guess they corrupted that and did some bad things, right? So it looks like some people are going to get spanked, guys. We're going to start to see some of these people probably in a lot of these governorships go to jail, right? If this thing goes through, it's going to be game on. So Janet, you're up in Northern California somewhere. I'm not going to say where, but you're saying Walmart closed here over a year ago. How about that? Wow. All right. So they won't have to worry about getting raided. Right. So anyway, yeah, Salvatore, absolutely. Hope so. We all hope so, right? So it looks like it's moving in the right direction, guys. I'm very, very excited about it. Of course, Mitt Romney was senator there in Utah, and he was roundly booed. I played that in a show a couple couple days ago. So he was at the GOP convention, Utah GOP convention, and he was like anti-Trump. He was a bad man. He was a very bad man, on many different levels. All right, so I think he's going to. I don't know where he's at. We haven't heard from him for a while. Hopefully, he was having to hunker down there in Guantanamo when the hurricane came over. They were going to let him go. Right, so it's okay. You'll be safe in the bowels of Guantanamo knit. So I don't know. He's probably out there running around, but he needs to be there. He deserves to be there. Right? He is a really bad man. All right. I'm gonna share this screen on this. I'm kind of skeptical of this. Maybe it did happen, so I don't want to step over bounds here. This was an actual thing that happened, but this is something that has been exposed as far as people. I would not trust anything in Arizona. Anything. All right. We know Arizona is corrupt to the hilt, guys. All right. They need to do election fraud in Arizona bad. They need bad election fraud in Arizona. And money laundering through Maricopa County, that's already been exposed. So through the cartels, right? So father to be was single punch to Arizona just weeks before his son's birth. So this is the guy that punched him, allegedly threw a punch that caused Pizzatola to suffer a fatal brain injury. All right, so I don't know if it was a sucker punch or what it was, but they got into a fight. Here he is with his wife expecting. They got the pictures, ultrasound pictures there. All right, this is weeks before his demise. So there's a GoFundMe for her. Kristen, his wife, Krisan, Krisan, Krisan. So 5 suspects. I guess they were, this guy was at a bar. He and his buddies got a little out of control, probably had a little too much to drink, and they kicked him out of the bar. So they're outside, and they're already a little feisty out there, and so it sounds like somebody got bumped, and then the fight started. So 5 suspects: Julia Husser, 27; Krista Molina, 27; Tony Becker, 26; Mark Whitford, 23; and Menezes were arrested. That's the guy who threw the punch. Last Wednesday, police confirmed. While the rest of the crew was booked on varying assault charges, court records show. All right. So here he is, handsome guy. Looks super healthy. All he ever wanted to be was the best father ever and the best husband, Krisan said, but he wasn't finished. So I guess around he was at the bar, and she texted him or something. It says, I texted him that I had gotten home, and he texted me back and said that he wished that I was there, but that he was so proud of me for staying home and taking care of our baby boy, and that he loved me, Kristen told the outlet. So this happened in Scottsdale. This is the most upscale area of Arizona. Very, very high-end area. So I'm just super suspect of the whole thing. And maybe it happened the way it's described. I don't know. It says about 3:30, I saw that his location changed to the emergency room and dropped everything. So you're like at home at 3:30 waiting, right? So I've talked to some people, and people took my advice, right? But unfortunately, they didn't take my advice and go with Dr. Kirk Elliott, right? and I think they got had, right? Bigly, all right? So Dr. Kirk Elliott has front end loaded the amount that he charges. So in the back end, so for me, my silver has tripled from what I've started out with, tripled in price. So I'm very happy. I know it's going to like triple again, quadruple, quintuple, and sextuplet, whatever. So it's gonna keep going, right? 10x. I think it's got a 10x in it, maybe even more, guys. So it's under 50 right now. It's like around skirting 48. It's built a nice little. I think it bottomed, pulled back because it was hot. It was very hot, and so was gold. They ran hot and heavy fast, and they need a little rest, right? Need to take a little break and catch their breath. And I think now they've caught their breath, and they're like getting back up to the line, getting ready to charge out again, guys. So just be heads up that this is a buying opportunity with gold and silver right now. I've always recommended silver. Definitely want to be in silver. And I think it's like the most incredible opportunity, and it's so easy to invest in it. But again, I've seen that some silver shops, or not silver, but coin shops and so forth, that's where you trade in your coins, your silver, your gold, whatever. They're not taking, some of them aren't taking silver right now because I guess like what they do is they take some of the silver, like the junk silver, 90% or less, and basically they'll take it. They'll take your silver plates, they'll take your silver jewelry, and they'll send it to like these places that basically melt it down and take all the impurities out of it, all the alloys and that could be in it. You know, it's not 100% silver, so they like take all that out. They go through a smelting process, whatever. And those smelters or whatever are like going full bore. They're working 7 days a week. And so they're at this point, some of them aren't taking anything else, guys. If you have US Mint coin or like Canadian or whatever, any mint coins of any, other like Canadian, English, Aussie, what do they call those little birds? Those little, can't think of their names, but they like had those birds on the Aussie coins. I thought they're pretty cool. And so if you're kind of into all those coins, you've collected them over the years, you could probably take those in and trade them in at some point. I would not do that now, but if you get kookaburra, thank you, A-Dub. So kookaburras. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, blah, 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 blah. So that's all I know about that. So I used to sing that as a kid, but I guess I didn't sing it enough because I remember. All right, so or is it a kiwi? Could be the kiwi. Kookaburra, I think they have both actually. Kiwi and the kookaburra. Those are fun. All right. So I used to do collectibles, guys, when it's time to like cash in and everybody's cashing in, and the market's moving fast one way or the other. You're not going to get a good price for those collectibles. You're going to get whatever it is, silver is in it, or you can go try and sell it yourself. All right. So just get the coins or have some of the coins on you in a good amount, because it could be good for bartering in the future if shit goes to hell. And it could be also a way that you could have quick cash if you need it going forward. If you lose your job, whatever. Hope you don't, but that's another reason why you want to get these. Get bars. That's right, Matt. So you want to have as high ounce bars. 5, 10 ounce bars are good to have. So that's really the way to go. You don't need to like have like fancy coins. They're not puffins. No, I don't know about puffins, but maybe there's some out there. I haven't seen them. Dimes. Yeah, you're talking about junk silver. Junk silver is like 90% silver. And like I said, that's going to be tough, I think. And even with the junk silver guys, you're not going to get the same amount as you would with a full ounce or with 5 or 10 ounce bars, right? Or more, whatever, 100 ounce bars, whatever. I have 1,000 ounce bars with Dr. Kirk Elliott, lots of them. So, although those are hard to come by now. So you still get with Dr. Kirk Elliott, because if you did 1,000 ounce bars, you would get a certain very, very nice price. So the higher ounce bars that you get, the less you're going to pay for the silver per ounce, because every one of those coins have to be stamped, and it takes more, smelting and, stuff. And so it's all fancy, and you're going to pay for that. So with the bars, it's, they just pour it and put a little, 99.99 points, whatever, pure, and then you're good, right? And maybe they'll stamp, where it comes from. So that's all it is. So it's cheaper per ounce that way. So if you do the 1 ounce coins, if you're doing, like if you go to the U.S. Mint right now and buy a 1 ounce, I think I don't know what it is right now. It's probably close to $100, if not more. It's ridiculous. You don't ever want to go through the U.S. Mint anymore, right? Unless you just have to do it. That's the way I used to get all my coins. I learned the hard way. But you can buy them through different dealers or go to a coin shop and get the best deal, right? But the ultimate best deal is to go with Dr. Kirk Elliott, because like I said, I talked with some people over the weekend or last week when I was at LifeWave conference in Anaheim, and I was talking to some very, very incredible people. And they said, "Yep, I took your advice. I got silver." And I said, "Who'd you get it with?" And they're telling me, and I said, "Well, what'd you pay?" And I was like, I didn't want to tell them you got effed. Right? I didn't want to tell them, but there's some people out there who got totally effed, guys, and might be some of you. Right? If you didn't go with Dr. Kirk Elliott, went with another group. I don't know. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. He'll give some insight on that. Remember, it's a free consultation with Dr. Kirk Elliott, right? And he and his team aren't going to steer you wrong. They're just going to give you the straight up facts, what you can do, what you can't do, how you can move money. If you're somewhere else in the world, how you can invest, as long as it stays in the depository, because he's not going to ship overseas. He doesn't ship overseas, but he does ship in the United States. I've gotten gold bars and gold coins from him just to get my own little stash going, right? Just in case, I need to run, right? And I need money. All right. So that's what Go XRP. Yeah. See how that works for you going forward. But that's gonna, because it was down big today. It was down huge today. I think there's still a little bit of down. Maybe tomorrow the stock market's gonna be back up because Amazon and Apple came out with some good results. Today it was down pretty hard. Crypto was down super hard. I've been saying that I felt like the stock market needed a pullback before it goes to like its ultimate highs. So we may still see that, or we may not. So again, this market is way out of control, guys. I can tell you what the charts say, what common sense says. Common sense says this thing should have never gone up back in 2008, all right? 2009. It should have kept going down, should have bottomed to a good extent and then gone sideways and then start to build up naturally. So now it's got to crash, and it's got to crash massively, right? So we're going to continue to see this thing, whipsaw up and down, because that's what happens towards the end. Now you look at, and this is happening around the world, you look at the stock market in Japan, and until 2 years ago, it hadn't seen its all-time high back before 2000, right? When we had our stock market bubble crash, right? Right. And the NASDAQ went down 80%. So with them, I think it went down the same, and it stayed down for like, I don't know, it's like over 20 years, right? And then it started to gradually come back up. And now it's at like all-time highs. What was it back then? I think it was like, I think the high was like, I just remember it was 3666. Yeah, it had 666 in it, of course. And it liked it. And once it crashed, I think it was like 98 or 99. It crashed before our stock market did. It didn't come back for like 20 years. You didn't see that high again. And now it's at 51,000, right? So all-time highs for stock markets all over the world. But it's not going to last, guys. And crypto, it's going to get spanked. You've seen crypto today with the stock market crashing, NASDAQ crashing today. I say crash, but it was down, almost 1.5%, whatever it was. And crypto was down a lot more. Now it was a tattletale to me because I saw crypto like 1 or 2 days ago started to go down. And it's like, why is it going down when the NASDAQ's going up? I bet it's telegraphing. And sure enough, it was, because the day NASDAQ went down pretty hard. Now it's super overbought. The NASDAQ, S&P, Dow, they're all super overbought. Yesterday, they all hit all-time highs, right? So it pulled back today. Looks like it may get a pop again tomorrow. Will it pull back? If we look at the indicators from past market cycles, it should get a pullback. So whatever. I mean, for some of you, like, I don't care. I'm not in the stock market anyway, whatever. So, but it does make a difference, because when that stock market goes down, it's going to go down 50%. And then it'll get a little pop, and then it'll eventually go down. And it will be down, guys, 85 to 90% in my estimation. We'll see a 1929 type crash. So that will have massive reverberations throughout all of society. And you just need to be aware of that. So that's why you need to be in silver, because you'll be able to weather it. And maybe if you have enough silver, you'll be able to be super profitable, right? Where you can buy up real estate that's going pennies on the dollar from what it was. Real estate's already crashing everywhere. I said this would happen back in 2022, and they pumped the stock market up. It should have gone down in 2022, back in October, and then it turned around, just went up and kept going up, right? So they manipulated it up, and all of you crypto bros, all right, I guess you could call me a crypto or not a silver bro, silver and gold bro, but you crypto bros and you market bros, you're going to get spanked, guys. And then you're going to be looking at, I wish I'd listened to you, and I wish I'd been a silver bro. All right, so you're going to find out. You're going to F around, you're going to find out, guys. All right, so if you're not silver, you're going to wish on the other side of this in about a year or so, probably, or maybe less, that you had listened. All right. So now I know a lot of you ladies out there, you've told me how you got your husbands into silver. That's good. And there's some of you have just like given up on your husbands and just put your own money into silver. Good for you. Some of you have done really well, and your husbands are looking like, dang, right? Because, yeah, the stock market's up, but the stock market isn't up as much as silver, not even close, right? So silver's up like 70%, or when it was at its high. I don't know what it is. Probably pull back a little bit since then. But it'll go a lot higher. It'll be over 100% this year, right? And stock market over the last 3 years, maybe and this has been incredible stock market returns. Even over the last 3 years, it's probably, no matter where your money was, it's not going to hit 100%, right? I don't know. So some of you crypto bros like me, you've done really well. Good for you. But you're holding on for dear life. You're hodling, and you're going to get spanked with that, right? I'm 100%, right? So we'll find out. So even the guys that do the crypto stuff have said, and they're the guys that I follow that have done like tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto, they're saying there's going to be a turnaround and it's going to be catastrophic, right? So you guys can believe what you want, or you believe outside of reality all you want, but eventually it's going to catch up to you and you're going to lose it all, right? So it's up to you. Take advantage of this pullback. If you're a crypto bro, add to your positions, because it's probably going to go up a little bit more before it's all over. It's better to get out early. It's much better to get out early. And if you're looking for verification of that, all you need to do is look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett has been getting out for a long time now, right? The Buffett indicator, which is when Warren Buffett gets out of the stock market on a massive scale, and I think he's out on the most massive scale ever. That's an indicator that things are going to go bad, right? So the Buffett indicator is flashing red, right? You got a little bit left, guys, but this is going to be for those that aren't paying attention. It's going to be devastating for you, your families, everybody. All right. So get into silver. All right. Convert your crypto right now into silver. Convert your stock into silver. All right. But yeah, I'm not an expert, although I've done exceptionally well, and I've proven to a lot of people that I've been right about silver, right? So, and I'm not going to be right about everything. You have to do your own research. You trust your own intuition, but I'm right about a lot of stuff. All right. So silver going to explode. Now, there's a lot more on the horizon that could really, crash everything early. If we get a major, which I think is on the cusp, we're on the cusp of major earth changes, massive earthquakes, volcanic activity, and so forth. If something really kicks off, guys, like if right off the coast of Oregon, we get the tsunami, hit the California coast and wipes out millions of people, that's going to be a devastating event that is going to probably crash markets around the world, potentially. And wars have gone off. JFK, when he was shot, stock market went up. So that's because we started going into Vietnam into war, right? So I don't know. You can never anticipate, anything with the stock market. It'll go up when you know it's going to go down, and when you know it's going to go down, it'll go up, right? So, sell California to China, please. Well, it's already been done. China already owns California, right? Thank you, Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi, and who else? What was that one senator that just died recently? Anyway, there's so many baddies in California. There's Feinstein, yeah, Dianne Feinstein. She had a Chinese driver, Maxine Waters. Yeah, she's baddie. Feinstein, right, Norman? So I probably heard you say it. Wayne, good job. So some of you guys will say this and I'll hear you in my mind because we got, I'm telepathic. All right. So just send it to me. So I know some of you yell it at the screen and I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. I hear it. So some people tell me I'm yelling at the screen. I'm like, yeah, I probably got it. So it probably came through. All right. So, so if there's a war, you know, they're trying to start wars. Deep state wants war. The Masons and all those guys and the, you know, the deep state, Kazarian mafia, you name it, all the baddies out there. They all want war. They've been predicting and been trying to push a war, War III, for a long time. It's Barbara Boxer, Evil 2, yeah. So you're going to have a lot of push in that direction. If it does seem like it's kicking in that direction, yeah, I have hope for California too. I think you know, once the tsunami cleans most of California up, we can rebuild it. So I hope California like doesn't get by a tsunami. I don't wish that on anyone or anything. I have love for everyone, and even the bad people, right? So you give them love, and sometimes it works out pretty good for them because they go away. Works out pretty good for us because they go away. Just ask Osama bin Laden. He went away because I sent him a lot of love, right? And who else went away? And that was Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and who's running after Biden? Kamala. So I had to go that slow because Kamala is like that. She's got the cackling Kamala. And there's a goddess that does that, I guess. She's named after a goddess. That's a cackling goddess. It's like crazy when you look deeper into this stuff. So anyway, I sent them all love and they're all gone. Right? So a lot of you guys think, oh, I can't send them love. Well, look what I did with love. All those people are gone that were baddie, right? So send the baddies love, guys. And don't go, I send them love. No, it's not that kind of love. It's God's love, right? Unconditional God love, right? Send it. It's powerful, right? I know it's hard, but if you practice it, and the way you practice it is you go to the store and you see people, send them love, 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 love. But don't look at them and go, love. Like I did that one time. That's how I started. I was like that's how I thought love was about, you know, love, love. So I was doing that to people and people were like, what the F are you? Why are you looking at me like? So, oh, maybe that's not a good thing. So I'll just think it. Yeah. Hello. So, you have to learn how to do that at some level, guys. If you're having trouble doing it, do it on the basic level and just send everything love. Send your plants love, send your computer love, just send the love, right? Send your food love before you eat it. Yeah. Duh. That's why we say prayers over it, right? Well, not everybody does, but that's what they did the Last Supper, right? And you're like, well, that didn't work out too good for Yeshua. Yeah, but kind of did. He had a mission and he did a good job. And because of his sacrifices, right? Not because he was sacrificed, but because of his, outgoing desire to serve humanity, we'll look at it like that. It's much better, I believe. He was able to really imprint humanity on a great level. And a lot of you guys, myself included, look towards Yeshua in a very favorable way. And I'm just talking about it, I'm getting like chills all over my body. So I know a lot of you guys get the same experience. Of course, I've got past life stuff with Yeshua, right? So a little bit outside of most of your realm, so I won't go into that, but it's pretty amazing stuff. All right. So, going forward, we're going to see, I think, like I talked about at the beginning of the show with the National Guard, being trained, quick reaction forces to come into cities, I believe, to handle problems that are coming. I talked about this with Juan. I started talking about it on the show. Juan overheard me talking about it. At the end of the show, we started talking about it again. So let's look at what's going on down in Brazil.
Now, of course, the governor of Rio saying that this is war is putting pressure, is supposed to be putting pressure on the national government to send out more military support, which...
All right, so we don't have that problem with President Trump. He's front-loading this. He's proactive, not reactive. All right, so there were forces that went in to go after the drug cartels that come from Venezuela, and in Brazil, they stole the election from Bolsonaro, who was basically the South American Trump. They stabbed him in his run-up to his first election. He was very popular, although the left really came after him hard during his administration. He absolutely, just like Trump did, win his second election. They stole it from him, and Lulu, who was basically the guy that the left wanted to put in there, the Venezuelan cartels wanted to put in there, just like they wanted Venezuelan cartels wanted Joe Biden in office. That's what Juan said. He said that the same people that put Lulu in and took down Bolsonaro was the same people that put Biden in and took down Trump. So that's why President Trump is going to take down Maduro in Venezuela, guys, because that's where all of this stems from. And when that happens, then Brazil will probably be freed. And what we're seeing, like I'm talking about with election stealing and this countrywide, push by Utah, thank you, Utah, which is going to expose the election fraud on a massive level. And then it can be exposed in every state, right? And this could start to push around the world, because Juan said there were 71 countries that had unfair elections, where the elections were stolen. 71 countries. So it starts with Venezuela, and then it starts to move from there, right? So the gang violence that you're seeing right there was probably going to come to Chicago, was probably going to come to LA, was probably going to come to Portland, and several other cities are up as well. But because of President Trump's proactivity, he may have stopped it out or lessen the impact that it's going to have. So this is very important, very, very important going forward, right? So crazy stuff going on in Rio right now.
Now, the fact that, again, I'm simply focusing on the rhetoric coming from the governor, because an operation that started...
All right, so Lulu is, he wouldn't put in troops to help those guys. Wow, look at that sky back there. That's amazing. Let me turn my main light off. Woo, that's some beautifulness. It's a beautiful, beautiful sky back there. All right, so Lulu's wouldn't send in troops to help those guys. So there in Rio, what they were doing is the local police and law, military and so forth were going after as you saw there, we're going after the cartels. I've seen reports. And that's probably a low figure. That's gonna. I think it's very, very possible we'll have the same thing happen. And I've been saying this for years now. I didn't know how it was going to come. I still don't know how it's going to come. If it's going to come from this, the cartel's really going to start to like kick it off. If like President Trump and quick reacted forces start to move in and start to take down some of these cartels, which they've already started to do. And you're having governors and mayors that are saying, how dare President Trump come in and take away these innocent people, right? So again, if we find that these governors and mayors, through election fraud, are in office, they're going to get yanked, right? And then we're going to start putting people in that are completely open and will be helpful, just like we saw in Memphis. They wanted President Trump to come in, and they're having great results in Memphis right now. And the ICE and other groups that are seizing some of these drug cartels that are in Memphis are having great results. Same thing in DC. All right, so we're having great results, but going forward, it's going to be hit or miss. Some cities are going to be open to it, and some cities are going to push back. Some cities are just so corrupt, it's going to take a long time to clean them up. All right, and when I say long time, it could be years. And it could be just back and forth for years. Some will be very quick, like we're seeing in DC, like we're seeing in Memphis, because I saw this one black gentleman that was like, I thought it was all bullshit. I was against President Trump, but I'm seeing things happen that I can't not speak out about. That this is good. This is good for my community here in Memphis, right? So that's what we're seeing. Real people are seeing real results. And then those people that are consciously compromised are going to push back no matter what. We know that. Some people are just going to be that way, right? And I don't even know if that's a real person anymore. If they're like just a, I don't know, some thing without a soul. Right? So, anyway, we're going to see this thing really, really take off, I think, and move in the right direction. So, looking forward to seeing more of this happen. It'll be quite substantial. The results we're going to have, and again, we're going to see a financial system collapse because it's corrupt. We're going to see the judicial system collapse because it's corrupt. We're going to see a lot of the social media platforms will collapse because they're corrupt. This one included that I'm broadcasting from right now. We'll see probably, of course, Big Farm. It's already been exposed on several different levels. A lot of people seeing problems with a lot of this stuff, but there'll be pushback that will continue. I'm seeing pushback. I promote LifeWave. It is extremely effective, miraculous, but there's pushback. There's pushback from Big Pharma and other forces that don't want that information to get out to you, right? Because they know that it's transforming people's lives on many different levels, right? So LifeWave patches, get into the description box. Go look at the videos, inform yourself. Don't just take all the thousands of people that I've had miracles on my Miracle Monday shows. Don't take for granted that, I've had incredible results, and I've been talking about it for 3 years, and there's nothing else that I've promoted more than LifeWave, right? So, because it's extremely beneficial. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time. Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with the Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined once again by Leo Zagavi. A brand new book out, The Secrets of, the Illuminati. Now we have The Rise and Fall of a Frankish Monster, exposing Jeffrey Epstein and the most powerful Jewish sect in the world. Wow. this is a much needed conversation.
Yes, as you know, with the volume 12, which you mentioned, the Confessions of the Illuminati series came to an end, at least for the time being. When instead I'm now starting a new series of essays dedicated to topics of interest within, the sectarian reality, often close to the Vatican. And this subject is a very particular one, and I must say also a very challenging one, because as you know, a lot of people have been discussing the Jeffrey Epstein case in the last few years. So, people will be wondering, what is Leo adding to all this? Well, I'm adding a unique perspective, which is digging deep into the ancestry, the family roots of each of the participants. And not only, of course, Jeffrey Epstein, who is Jewish, comes from Europe, of Russian, Ukrainian origins. Podolia, some say, also elements come from Germany, but we have also Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father was known as Robert Maxwell, but in reality his name was completely different. He took the surname Maxwell because he was known as Jan Ludwig Iman Benjamin Ock, and he started working for the British Secret Service, and at that point the leader in the 1930s of the most important network of spies infiltrating communism and subversive groups was called Maxwell Knight, and for that reason he decided to call himself Maxwell and change his surname. So even his surname was a tribute to that. But aside from that, there has been always a lot of discussions on how did Jeffrey Epstein become Jeffrey Epstein. And nobody gives you a clear answer. Nobody gives you a clear answer, because to have a clear answer, you need to do another kind of investigation. And in the end, you will arrive to the answers, like the Meta Group, which also, by the way, controls IPAC. There's a lot of talk these days about IPAC and so on. But nobody really knows much about the Meta Group, which was founded by people like Leslie Lex Wessner, the guy who, of course, we know him because of Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
But this